Oh, I think Jim's muted again. I think Jim's muted, or he's having a mic issues.
Jim is muted.
All right. Well, as Jim gets it sorted out, everybody, we're here for UFC Fight Night Blaydes versus Lewis, taking place right now in Las Vegas at the UFC Apex. The first fight of the main card, heavyweights Andrei Arlovski and Tom Aspinall are in the cage right now, starting of the second round, throwing heaters at each other, man, throwing heaters. Hopefully we get Jim back because I'm not sure I can carry a whole show. But if I have to, I have to. But big night of fights. We had some people fall off. As Jim and I talked in the pre-show, it seems like in the era we're living in now, there's always fights that fall off on weigh-in day or even the night of the event. Had an injury backstage, taking a fight off, a positive COVID test, taking a fight off, and then a record-breaking missing weight ended a fight. But right now, like I said, Andrei Arlovski, the heavyweights are kicking off the main card. The 6 fights on the main card, half of them are heavyweight fights leading up to the main event between number 4 and number 2 heavyweights in the world, Curtis Blaydes and Derrick Lewis. And Andrei Arlovski is in a lot of trouble right now. Got his back taken, and it looks like he might get submitted here. We'll have to wait on that. And if you want the results, definitely go over to the main site, the mothership, MMAWeekly.com. We'll have post-event coverage, post-fight press conference interviews going up. The results are on there live now as they happen. And Andre just got finished in the second round by a rear naked choke. It's a quick tap. I'm not sure what led to him getting to the ground though, because I was but he shot a double leg. Aspinall shot a double leg. As we try to get Jim back on here. But it's a good night of fights, man. It's Saturday again. This is the 3rd UFC event in a run of 8 at the UFC Apex. Oh, there's Jim. I see his face. I see him.
Hey, I forgot to take my Level Select CBD before the show, and we know it can't happen, Jeff. Good job, man. I don't know what happens every once in a while with the software that we use. It says that I'm muted, and it tells our guys on scene that I muted myself, which anyone who knows me clearly knows I would never do. It's mute myself, but I'll tell you what, man, I'm excited here tonight, Jeff. I mean, that fight just came to a quick and violent end, didn't it? Arlovski, Aspinall looks good. And Arlovski, you called him the gatekeeper the other day, and there comes a time, man, I can still see Paul Pierce coming off the bench for the Washington Wizards. I mean, there comes a time in every star's career when they're not a star anymore. Arlovski's been at that point for a while, but still, no matter what, Arlovski still got some wins recently, and I just think that was a great performance by Aspinall. He's going to be a force. Man, they're just lining up these killers at heavyweight one by one.
Yeah, Andre didn't look bad in that fight. He took some damage early, and then he came back at the end of the first round and landed some combinations. He looked pretty good in there. I wouldn't say that it was age that caught up to Andre. I think he just fought a guy who was a little faster, and then he shot that double leg, man, got him on the ground and sunk in the rear naked choke. I guarantee it, Andre didn't see that coming.
No question about it, man. And I'm sitting here. I got a big flat screen TV in front of me on one side. I got the camera right on my face. I got everything surrounding me in the studio here. It's like a capsule that I would bury myself in. I could probably survive for a few months in here, Jeff. But, man, I'm excited. Arlovski's not excited. Look, I mean, this is, it's a big win and a big start to the card. It's a good one for Aspinall. And, you didn't think anybody would get subbed in this fight. But, I mean, think about Aspinall, right? I mean, he's definitely a guy who is on the rise in the heavyweight division. And give me a second. I don't see, he's not ranked. He's not ranked. Tabura's number 15. Pavlovich is 14. Ivanov 13. JDS is all the way down at 12. Junior Dos Santos. Walt Harris, I don't know how he's ranked. He hasn't won a heavyweight fight. He's 0-2, but he's fought tough competition. Alexei Olenek, who's coming up later on this card, is number 10. But Aspinall is looking at cracking those rankings, Mr. Jeff Kane. I have a vote in the UFC rankings. What do you think? You going to vote him in?
I don't know, man. I'll have to look at it all and crunch those magic numbers, man. But yeah, he's 3-0 in the UFC. Finished, all 3 of the fights. It looks good, man. He could show up in the rankings. It'll be bottom of it if he does. But like I said, I'll have to compare records because that's what it comes down to at the bottom of the rankings. It's quality of opponents, and basically if you've beat somebody that's ranked versus if you haven't. So we'll see, man. Those things will come out on Monday.
Yeah, and he's 6'5" with a pterodactyl reach. I mean, I tend to overuse the word pterodactyl just because I love that it begins with a P and no one would ever know until you learn how to spell it. But I also love the word because to me, that's just the long arms, the wingspan. You know, I like to tell people all the time, Jeff, and you know, my purpose is to inspire. And by the way, speaking of inspiring, I had an awesome time interviewing our guy Vitor Belfort today, the Phenom. That's going to drop soon here on MMA Weekly, as well as the interview I did 2 days ago with Patricio Pitbull and Captain Eric Albarracin about Pitbull's $1 million bet. But I love to inspire people, man, and I love to tell people to soar to new heights of greatness. And there's only one bird, Jeff. You know the bird that flies the highest, right, is the eagle. Eagles fly alone. They don't fly in groups. They don't fly in packs. They don't fly in flocks, whatever you want to call them. The eagle flies the highest. The eagle flies alone. Why is that? So if an eagle bumps into a pigeon or a dove or a blue jay or a cardinal, the eagle's coming down where the eagle shouldn't be. And that big, long wingspan for Aspinall, he's got himself flying like an eagle right now. I mean, this guy in the heavyweight division, 6'5", with that reach, that kind of striking ability, now showing off the submission game too, dangerous.
Yeah, he's got to be careful. I mean, he had his hands down by his waist and kind of was using head movement to dodge Arlovsky's punches there. He's got to maybe shore that up a little bit because there's heavyweights touch you, man. That's all she wrote, and I felt like that was a little dangerous of a tactic. But he got the win. He mixed it up, man. He hurt Andre early in that fight, in my opinion, against the cage. He kind of unleashed a flurry on him. And then in the second round, he mixed it up, changed levels, got a double leg takedown, sunk in the rear naked choke, and finished it. An impressive performance, man. Impressive performance.
Yeah, man, unbelievable. And I really like those guys with that long reach. They can sit outside and pick you apart. Interestingly enough, and we're going to hear from Vitor Belfort a little bit in this show, he picked the winner of our main event between Curtis Razor Blaydes and Derrick the Black Beast Lewis. Man, it's just depending. You know, you watch enough preview shows and enough videos and enough interviews of these guys. You talk to them enough, Jeff. I watch all the Lewis stuff, and I think Lewis is going to win. Then I watch all the Blaydes stuff, and I think Blaydes is going to win. It's kind of like when you're a kid, your favorite sport was whatever season it was, whatever videos I'm watching, whatever fighter I'm paying attention to, I'm going back and forth on this one. I don't think there's a clear-cut favorite. I know the odds say it's Blaydes by a lot, but we're going to get Vitor Belfort's pick in just a minute here. I don't know if it's playing because my video is a little choppy, but let me know when we're ready. Vitor Belfort, the Phenom. Here he is. Let's see.
He's got it pulled up, yep.
Vitor Belfort, Derrick Lewis, and Curtis Blaydes, the striker against the wrestler, heavyweight clash, 2 top 5 fighters. Who are you taking?
Well, it's hard. I think it's 50-50 on that one. But, you know, if Curtis can really gas him out. I think Curtis has good hands. He has the tools to take the beast out. So, but it's going to be tough.
All right, that's Vitor Belfort giving us his pick for fight night tonight. Derrick Lewis and Curtis Blaydes. Blaydes number 2, Lewis number 4 in a stacked heavyweight division in the UFC. There we go. Fun times with the still wants to fight, still looks good enough to fight, Jeff. But that seems to be the consensus, right? Blaydes wrestling is fantastic, and he's going to be relentless. Look, everyone says he looked like crap against Volkov, and I went back and watched that fight, man. He dominated Volkov. He took him down 14 times, and it's easy to drink the Kool-Aid when Dana gets up there and says, oh, Blaydes didn't impress us. Boring because he dominated his ass and took him down 14 times. Look, if you're Curtis Blaydes, it gets 100 to show, 100 to win. You're not going to risk a 6-figure win bonus to try to impress the fans and try to get a title shot. You're going to go with what got you there. Now, that being said, he does have 10 knockouts also, Jeff, so Blaydes has thunder in those hands. He can put Lewis to sleep just as easily as Lewis can put him to sleep. Both guys are right around the heavyweight limit of 265. I believe Lewis 264, Blaydes just under 260. You got literally 515 pounds of man in there tonight. 515 pounds of beast. And they are literally looking to take each other's heads off. So I think Blaydes has got the more well-rounded game. Although Lewis has worked on that gas tank. He's really good off his back. You know, no one seems to be able to hold him down, Jeff. People take him down, and he's always getting right back up. But and also when I was at Fight Ready, unfortunately not on camera, I talked with Eddie Cha, great striking coach at Fight Ready, and he's got a lot of big fights coming up. Eric Anders training there now, got a fight in March. Henry Cejudo. By the way, Vitor drops an exclusive little nugget on Triple C in the interview I did too on who Henry really wants to fight. I'll give you a hint. It's at 45. I'll give you another hint. It's not Alexander Volkanovski. So you have to watch the interview to figure that out. But, Jeff, Blaydes has a lot of tools in the toolbox. And Eddie Shaw was talking about this with me today. He said if it were just a striking matchup, he would still like Curtis Blaydes over Derrick Lewis. Are you surprised at that? Do you agree with that?
I don't know. It's hard to say. I think maybe technically, yeah, but if it's only a boxing match, then you're giving Lewis an opportunity every second to land that big bomb. So it's better off that we're a mixed martial arts fight. So while I agree with what he's saying, I do think Blaydes is technically the better striker, where Lewis makes up for that with just sheer power, man. And he's not a bad striker himself. He throws, he mixes up his speed well.
Yeah, and we talked about Blaydes. His only 2 losses were both to Francis Ngannou. The last one was in November of 2018. And when you're talking about Blaydes, man, I mean, here's a guy, he's barely 30 years old. I mean, this is a guy who he's still young, up and coming, that next generation in the game. Where I really realized how good he was, like, you got to beat the Mark Hunts and the Overeems, and he beat Alexei Oleinik, doctor stoppage. You got to beat those guys if you want to be a champ. Oleinik is ranked 10th. No disrespect to him. He's not a championship fighter. Very few fighters are. He beats Hunt. He beats Overeem. You got to beat those guys. And nobody at the time thought Reem was going to come back up to the top of the rankings. Then he gets TKO'd by Ngannou 45 seconds in the first round. Where I was most impressed by Blaydes, I don't want to say most, but the point where I realized this guy's going to be legit, when he did what he did to Justin Willis. And Justin Willis is a beast of a human, Jeff. And, when I watched that fight and I watched what Curtis Blaydes was able to do to him, that was, number one. I said, wow, he's really going to be somebody special. And then, he beats Shamil, and then JDS TKOs him. He's another guy you got to beat, another quote unquote getting to be a gatekeeper. And then he dominated Volkov. Now he's talking about title shot. Dana didn't like the performance. We've talked about it a million times, but he's got so many tools in that toolbox. But you can never, every single person I've talked to, and I've talked to a lot of fighters, a lot of coaches about this fight card, they say you can never underestimate Derrick Lewis, man. Like, you think he's tired and out of gas, he comes back and beats Volkov with 20 seconds left in the fight. You think you got him on the ground, you're going to either submit him or beat him up on the ground. The only guy who was able to slip in and get his back and do it was Daniel Cormier. So when I look at Blaydes and I look at Lewis is a huge, huge man. And I don't care who you are, it's very, very difficult to take down a guy that big, that size. I think Blaydes will be able to do it. I think it's a big difference in this fight. But I still, you can hear the waffling in my voice right now going back and forth on this fight still.
Yeah, man, it's an interesting matchup. I think that Lewis is more well-rounded than a lot of people giving credit for. You're right. On the ground, he stays out of submissions and he gets back to his feet. And on the feet, he usually ends up landing the fight-ending shot. I think he's a little underrated, to be honest with you, on his overall game. But I do feel Blaydes is better. But I'm like you, man. In the clinch, Lewis has devastating elbows. At distance, he has knockout power. Blaydes has to close the distance in this fight, and that's where things get real dangerous for him. But I think he's going to be able to do it, man. He does a good job of fading takedowns and mixing in his striking and kind of keeping you guessing.
Yeah, and Lewis is really dangerous in the clinch too. So when you close that distance, and you hear the phrase being said often, Jeff, like stay at the end of the punch, right? You want to hit him at the end of your punch. That's where Lewis has that reach and he can keep him out there. So Blaydes closing distance has to be careful in the clinch as well because of the knees and elbows. Derrick Lewis just asked Roy Nelson about those. So it's not just cut and dry, go in and take him down. Now Lewis has been taken down quite a bit in his career. The other thing interesting to note here, Jeff, as we have 2 and 4 tonight, and people in the chat, one guy's going, who cares about this fight? Start talking about UFC 250. If you don't care about Curtis Blaydes and Derrick Lewis, 515 pounds, number 2 and number 4 in the heavyweight division, either guy capable of knocking the other one's head into the 5th row at any time during his fight, you're not a fight fan at all. You're not a fight fan if you're not looking forward to this fight because they're heavyweights, they're violent, they have a ton of finishes, each guy, and this is a fight where someone's likely getting pounded out, either your TKO or someone's going to sleep. So, we love you guys in the chat, but think about this, right? Someone's saying they'd rather watch CM Punk than this fight. You got to be kidding me. This is an elite heavyweight matchup between 2 killers. And Jeff, in these next couple of weeks, we're going to get a lot of answers at the top of the division. 2 and 4 tonight. And yes, easy for me to say.
Sorry, you just broke up there, but yeah, this is a good fight, man. I'm interested in this. These are two top 5 heavyweights. One of them's likely going to be in a title fight in the near future, depending on what happens with John Jones. This is a huge, meaningful fight between two guys that are in their primes, in my opinion. Although Lewis is mid-30s, but that he still looks great. I feel like both these guys are in their primes. This is when this fight should be happening. I'm excited for this fight. I don't know how anybody can't be. And the CM Punk comment, man, I don't know if you'd rather watch CM Punk than these guys. I just want to know what CM Punk's doing, because it's certainly not fighting. Is CM Punk dancing?
No, and I give him a lot of credit. I give him a lot of credit for trying, man. And he actually, if he would have had a full time and a lot of years to do it, maybe that would have been different for him. But CM Punk did not belong in the octagon. It's kind of funny. I like Zodiac's comment the best in the chat. They're not wasting their time. They get paid for this, you goddamn casuals. There you go. Thank you, Zodiac. We appreciate you saying the things we're not saying. NRG Striker says, I'm super excited for this bout. And Mario says, I feel like someone more violent should fight Lewis. He's fought pretty much everyone. Ooh. He hasn't fought Stipe. But he's fought pretty much. Who hasn't he fought? He has a win over Ngannou. Let's not forget that. Black Beast has a win over Ngannou. Yeah. Who else hasn't he fought at the top of the rankings, Jeff? I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Who else has he not fought? He hasn't fought Stipe. Obviously, John Jones. Oh, yeah. You know what? He's beaten Volkov. He's beaten Ngannou. DC's gone. He fought JDS, didn't beat him. Olenek, he's got a win over him. And I'm looking at the rankings right now. So, I mean, Rosenstruik would be a good one for Lewis and Stipe. And he also hasn't fought Cyril Gane. So the winners this week and next week should fight each other, really, when you think about it, right? We talked about this on the preview show, which, by the way, if you want to break down top to bottom of the heavyweight division, Jeff and I on the preview show, it's on the YouTube channel. While we're talking about the YouTube channel, I want to remind you guys, smash that like button, TKO that bell, ding, ding, answer that bell every time we let you know we have a new show up. Throw some comments up there. Even if you think we suck, we welcome everyone's opinion here in the comments and in the chat. We're going to start giving away prizes during the fights in the chats as we continue. And don't forget, tomorrow at 3 Eastern, 12 Pacific, it's UFC Fallout right here on MMA Weekly. And Jeff, lost my train of thought there in 1 second. The winners this week and next week, 2-4 this week, 3-7 next week. You're going to have the winners, I believe, fight, because none of them have ever fought each other. Blaydes and Lewis, Cyril Gane, and Rosenstruik. And Rosenstruik is that guy, man. One more loss, he's right there out of the title picture. Whereas Cyril Gane with a golden opportunity, even as a favorite coming in this fight, to really make some noise. So an impressive win tonight by one of these guys, an impressive win next week by those other guys, puts them right there. And Jones is coming in to get the title shot. So whoever wins, Stipe and Ngannou, Jones is going to fight them. Then you have the loser of that fight, and then you have these four, and then the other guy is Volkov, who comes in at number 5 and just dominated over him.
Yeah, well, what you're going to have with the winners tonight or next week, one of them is going to be the backup for the title fight, right? And especially in this time. The UFC is going to have somebody on standby in case something happens to Francis or something happens to Stipe. And it's probably going to be one of the 4 who took the least amount of damage in this tonight and next weekend. So let's keep that in mind. John Jones isn't going to fight anybody on short notice, so you can just take him off the list. But the UFC will absolutely have someone as a backup fighter just in case Stipe or Ngannou get injured.
Yeah, absolutely. No doubt. It's going to be one of these winners this week or next week. Great job, Jeff. Good point. You are watching UFC Fight Night, Blaydes versus Lewis, live coverage right here on MMA Weekly, powered by CBD Emporium, featuring Level Select CBD. 3 levels for different levels of pain. Get that. Also for, relieving anxiety, getting better sleep at night. They even Level Select has a CBD tincture with melatonin in it, which helps you go to sleep. And I work out hard, man. I box, I lift, I train every day. I was in Fight Ready today, throwing some hands in there, trying to show the fighters that at least I somewhat know what I'm doing. I don't think it really worked, but that's beside the point. Still needed the CBD after anyway. What you're going to do right now, if you want 50% off, change your life today. MMA50 is the code. 50% off CBD Emporium and Level Select products. Go to stayinthefightmma.com. You're going to see my ugly face. I'm just warning you in advance. Stayinthefightmma.com. Enter the code MMA50. You see my face for radio, and you get 50% off CBD Emporium and Level Select CBD products. Level Select CBD. Stay in the fight. All right, Jeff, Vitor Belfort told me today that John Jones is special, and we know he's special, but I'm getting to the part that really surprised me here, and you'll see this interview coming up on MMA Weekly. Vitor the Phenom Belfort told me today in the gym at Fight Ready, inside the cage, when we were doing our interview, that John Jones is so good, the rest of the heavyweights better watch out. Because my question was kind of framed like we've been talking. Jones is walking into a division full of killers ready to take his head off. He goes, Jones is walking to a division full of fighters he can beat. He said the one guy who gives him the most problems and the one guy who he thinks is clearly the best heavyweight. Any guesses?
And it's not the champion.
It is the champion. He said there's Stipe, there's Jones, and there's everyone else. Do you agree?
I don't disagree, but I don't agree because we don't have any evidence to support that claim. We will soon enough. I don't know that I agree with that. I think that Blaydes gives Jones a tough fight. I think that there are some guys in there that are just because of their size and their reach, and they get to enjoy the things that John Jones enjoyed so much at light heavyweight. Those things aren't going to carry over to heavyweight. So I don't know, man. I don't know. I mean, that's kind of the way I look at it. I mean, I said that I would rank John Jones as number 1 in the heavyweight division if I had to rank him tomorrow. But I still want to see him fight at heavyweight, man. I got to see him in there with the big boys before I know how he matches up with the big boys.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I think he looks great at heavyweight weight. And one of Vitor's points, we talked about it more after our interview, and he said Jones is so quick and so athletic moving up into that division, and he's going to be about 250 pounds, which is scary. And you think about his brothers, they're both defensive linemen in the NFL, or one still is, one's retired. Arthur's retired. Chandler's still getting it done for the Cardinals, even though he had the injury this year. And they're trying to get J.J. Watt to the Cardinals now. The Texans are done with him, and be interesting because, obviously DeAndre Hopkins is in Arizona, and he played with him in Houston. But when I think about John Jones going up to heavyweight, I think Curtis Blaydes and Jones is going to be – I think that's going to be the fight. I think Jones is going to fight the winner of Stipe and Ngannou. I think it's going to be Stipe again. I think Jones will win the belt, and I think Jones-Blaydes is going to be the rivalry where we might even see 2 or 3 between them. I think Blaydes is that good, and he just keeps getting better. He's got the wrestling. He's got the power. And anyone sleeping on Curtis Blaydes and saying Derrick Lewis is going to take his head off, guys, you have to understand something. His wrestling, speaking of Blaydes, is better than anyone Derrick Lewis has fought except Daniel Cormier. What happened when he fought Daniel Cormier? DC got his back, choked him out. When you look at Blaydes and the number of takedowns in his fights, check out the numbers. I don't have them in front of me. 14 times he took Volkov down. He is elite. He's one of the best wrestling heavyweights of all time, up there with the Canes and the Brocks. Maybe not on the Brock level, maybe not, all the way on the Jones level, but he's very close, or the DC level, Olympic level wrestler. He's very close, and his takedowns are absolutely vicious. These are not gentle, hey, let me just grab you and gently place you down on the canvas. These are literally bell-rattling, just jar your whole insides to death takedowns, violent elbows, his ground game with the fist, the up. I mean, he just, and holding you down, which is something Lewis is really good at getting up. Blaydes is great at holding guys down. This is going to be awesome, man. Something's got to give, but I really think Blaydes Jones, something tells me, unless Cyril Gahn works his way in there, but Blaydes Jones is going to be the rivalry.
Yeah, I mean, it might be. I don't know. Like I said, I want to see how Jones does. Jones has been hit in his last few fights. He's taken damage in his last few fights, and I feel like I want to see him get hit by a heavyweight before I kind of see where he fits there.
That's a lot of power, man. And we saw it when Stipe was able to beat DC in the second fight. We saw that heavyweight power. And Jones has traditionally, obviously that's been the big thing with him. He hasn't been known for his power. Overall, his intelligence, his quickness, his athleticism, his wrestling, his jiu-jitsu, his volume of strikes, his defense, been amazing, right? Mayweather-esque in the UFC. Very few fighters have really gotten their hands on John Jones. Gustafson's one. Reyes hit him a lot. Thiago actually hit him a lot too. And that's the thing that people say is these recent fights have shown Jones maybe not as good as he was in the past. But then I think about it and I think, you know what? The rest of the world catches up, man. the rest of the world catches up. It's not necessarily that you slip. It's that everyone's training to beat you. The rest of the world was training to beat her. So unless, and very few of us could ever claim to be in this position, and I'm definitely not, never have been, but when the whole entire world is training to beat you, everyone's trying to figure out that way, and you have to keep readjusting, and you have to have that mentality. John told me in an interview one time, he said, I like to come out of the castle and meet them on the battlefield so they know they're not getting anywhere near my throne. But I do agree with you, Jeff. Until we see John get hit at heavyweight, we don't know what's going to happen there. But I don't think it's a given that anybody's going to hit him in heavyweight because he's so good defensively.
Yeah, I'm just saying that he's been hit more in his recent fights than in the ones before that, for whatever reason. Yes, people do get better. That's what makes John Jones so great, is he's been a marked man forever, and he can. Use him in there with the heavyweights, man. I don't know. Like I said, I feel like he's been hit.
Jeff, we froze for a second. You got me? Okay, so we got some good people and some good comments coming up in the chat. Let's read some of this, man. It's good. You guys are bringing it tonight. People talking about Jones versus Izzy. Mario says people tend to sleep on Stipe. People tend to sleep when Stipe hits them. That's one thing. But I do agree, Mario. I think of all the champions, and, Stipe hasn't really gotten that huge respect, not from the fans and certainly not from the UFC when he loses his belt after being the greatest heavyweight champ of all time, and they basically step over his body to get Brock in there, and nothing ever materialized on that. But people for a long time have discounted Stipe. He's quiet, he's unassuming, but let me tell you this. This is a great, great champion. His combination of boxing, just the adjustment that he made, Jeff, in that fight against DC, the takedowns against Ngannou, who he ate Ngannou's biggest shot in their first fight in Boston. The Overeem shot that hit him could have finished him in his backyard in Cleveland. He comes back and finishes Overeem right after that. Backing up after getting tagged by Verdum, hits him with the left that puts Verdum out in front of 90,000 screaming Verdum fans who wanted his blood in Brazil. Stipe is special in every way. And the adjustment that he made in the third fight against Cormier, where DC couldn't get the takedowns, when he started using the underhooks and just walking him up to the cage. The patience that it takes, you know how many times he drilled that? You want to take people's heads off if you're Stipe. You want to take people down yourself. But for Stipe to have the patience to just get those underhooks in, walk him up to the fence, score points. Dig the underhooks in, walk him up to the fence, score points. To me, just those adjustments, he's so smart. I think it's going to take an incredible, incredible fighter to beat Stipe. I think that fighter's John Jones. Now, we'll get to that in another show maybe, but I don't think anybody else in this top of this division, we talk about how great they are, I don't think anybody else beats Stipe. Not Francis, not anyone. Jones is the only guy, in my opinion, right now who could do it.
Well, I mean, it's the heavyweight division, and so, everybody is just one shot away from being finished. And so, it's hard to say. It's hard. Stipe is special, though. Whenever he made the adjustments and went to the body of DC in that one fight, changed everything, changed the whole fight. Stipe is a very intelligent fighter, and he's fought back from adversity. He's a tough out, man. I think that he beats Jones. I think he's faster than Jones and is better at most things that Jones is used to having the edge in. But we're going to see, man. We're going to see. Unless Francis beats Stipe, and then we're going to see that.
Yeah, and then you know what? I really want to see Stipe and Jones, and I wanted to see it now. Nothing against Francis. He deserves the shot, but he's already lost to Stipe once. I don't want Francis to beat Stipe, and then it loses the luster where Jones is coming up as the greatest light heavyweight to face the greatest heavyweight champion. If Stipe loses, you lose that. And unfortunately, as a fan, we're going to miss that if that happens. I don't think it's going to happen. But nobody's going to be crying, Jeff, if the matchup is Jones versus Ngannou in Jones' first fight. Not only is Francis a headhunter, the best you've ever seen, literally knocking guys' heads into the fifth row, but his story of living in the street, his story of how he grew up dirt poor, and then he goes to France. He didn't even start training to be a fighter until very late in life, virtually had nothing in the world going for him, and he becomes here. He brings himself here. I get choked up just talking about stories like this because he is living, breathing proof. It helps to be huge and have a dynamite in your hand. But the story, it just goes to show you, no matter where you are in life, no matter what the circumstances are, no matter what you think has you down, you can rise all the way to the dang top. And Francis is the embodiment of that. Plus the fact that he's one of the nicest guys I've ever met in 25 years of covering sports, every sport, NFL, NBA, Major League Baseball, the fighters, boxers, everything. One of the nicest people I've met. Also, Stipe is, for the record. They're both super nice dudes. But Francis versus Jones, the storyline there would be almost as good. Not quite as good, but almost as good.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good storyline either way for Jones, regardless who wins that heavyweight title fight. You know, you're either going up against the greatest heavyweight of all time, or you have all those side plots that you just brought up, those side stories around Francis, and then that's just such a, you know, that's such a crazy fight. I mean, I think that I honestly think Jones versus Ngannou sells more than Jones versus Stipe.
Maybe. I mean, I oh my God, just the stare down between Jones and Ngannou. I mean, just two huge guys. But I mean, everybody sleeps on Stipe, man, and people have picked against him so many times. You know, I mean, so many people pick against him in every fight. You know, and I mean, I would love to have seen Stipe fight Brock because Stipe would have ended Brock's life in the octagon. Brock Lesnar would not have made it out of the cage if he fought Stipe, in my opinion. He would have torn him limb from limb. Just with the body shots alone, Brock would have had no chance. Stipe's boxing, people forget, Stipe legitimately could fight a heavyweight title fight. I'm friends with a good buddy of Stipe's, and I can't say who, but it's someone at the very top of his circle, told me they were very close to signing a fight with Stipe to fight a boxing match against Tyson Fury. Very, very close, and that they like Stipe's chances in that fight. Not sure how much I believe that they like his chances in that fight, but Stipe is one of the best boxers in the UFC to the point where he actually could be a professional boxer.
Yeah, he has good speed for his size too. You know, he's faster than Fury in my opinion. And so, yeah, I think he could have success at it. I don't think, you know, I want to keep Stipe in mixed martial arts, but you're going to go where the money is, because I think Stipe's a better mixed martial artist than he will ever be a boxer. But if he can make the money that a Tyson Fury fight's gonna give, then you're gonna have to do it, right? You know, and I don't care how bad you get beat. You know, Conor had to fight Mayweather no matter what. You can't turn down that amount of money.
Yeah, and everyone says Floyd carried him. If you think Floyd carried him, you have no idea what you're talking about. You don't know boxing whatsoever. And Phil Haas looking really good, by the way, against Imavov. But if you think Mayweather carried McGregor, you don't know what you're talking about because he did not carry him into, what was it, the 10th round, Jeff? That was Mayweather letting McGregor punch himself out, waiting till he was exhausted and then finishing him, which is what the smart, because you can't lose that fight if you're Mayweather. So just let him keep going. Let him be aggressive. Let him keep throwing punch after punch after punch. They all add up. And then he got tired and Mayweather jumped in there. But I found it interesting. Where's Rory's comment? Rory Kleins, he said, Jones dodged a bullet with Jan Blachowicz. It took me 5 minutes to learn how to say his name in an interview in Albuquerque last year, right before he finished Corey Anderson and sent him to Bellator. When you look at what Jan Blachowicz has done, he is unbelievable, dude. You talk about a champion, just like Stipe. People sleeping on him. He's not loud. He doesn't talk a lot of crap. He just gets in there and grinds. He's a kickboxer, a Muay Thai guy. And Rory says Jones dodged a bullet with Jan. Do you think Blachowicz would have been the guy to take Bones out?
I don't know, man, but he had a good shot. He had a good shot. Like I said, I don't feel that Jones has looked at his best in his last several fights. And it might not be him. It might be his opponents. But I feel like Jones left the light heavyweight division at the perfect time to be able to go to the heavyweight division before he caught an L, before he caught a loss. And
nice
he's going to his career. Wow. He's going to make more money.
Keep
because
going, Jeff.
of it.
I'm sorry.
No, I don't disagree with that comment, man. I mean, Jones doesn't, he's not scared of anybody. He's not ducking anybody or running from anybody. He's going to a division to where it's probably about legacy at this. Jones the greatest light heavyweight, no matter what happens. But now he's going to try to solidify the legacy of being no contest the greatest fighter ever to live.
Yeah, and I wish we would have seen Rumble in Jones. That was one thing that I wish we would have seen in the UFC. That was coming close to happening a few times. But I look at the Bellator light heavyweight Bobic, and I look at Jones. The matchup is good for Jan in the sense that he's a really good boxer, and he's the guy like you saw what Thiago Santos was able to do against Jones, and that would be similar. Blachowicz would be similar, and what Reyes was able to do. But Reyes, everybody thought Reyes was going to beat Jan. Jan said, "Not so fast, my friend." But when I look at the matchup for Jan Blachowicz with Izzy, that's a tough one because they're both strikers, they're both kickboxers, and Izzy's got speed all day long on him. The question is, will Izzy have power at 205? But then you think about the power with the technique. And my MMA coach likes to tell me all the time, he tells all his students, and this has no bearing on anything other than the lesson that you learn, which is technique or being slow builds technique. Technique builds speed. Speed builds power. It's the precision and the speed of the punches that matter, not necessarily the power. You don't have to be Ivan Drago to throw with that kind of power. You literally have to have that precision and that connectivity. We saw that with Izzy against Rob Whittaker. And, there are a lot of things that with Adesanya against Paulo Costa, everybody thought he was so much bigger and stronger, and he was. But interesting to see, what happened in that fight. So right now we got Hawes and Imavov in round 3. Hawes has been dominating the fight, and we have a victorious Tom Aspinall at the podium right now. The MMA Weekly camera is front and center at the Apex in Vegas. Let's go and hear from Tom Aspinall right now.
Yeah, but to be honest, man, I'm scared every fight, but I was especially scared of this fight. This sport is tough mentally, especially in the COVID times. I feel, like you're sitting in the hotel for a week. It's like one long fight day, man. But once we started getting in there and exchanging punches, I was all good.
Obviously, a big punch and then a big flurry from yourself, and you managed to stay in there. Did you have to make a conscious decision to slow down, or was that him just being able to get the clinch?
No, I just stopped. I wanted to go into the second round. I've not seen the second round much. I want to see it.
I was going to ask you about that. Is this one of those fights that you learn from a lot? You learn what you need to do as you're trying to get better, like you said the other day.
Yeah, I've got a lot to improve on. If I want to be a champion, which I think, I know that I can be, I've got a lot to improve on that. And I want to be fighting more veterans like that because you can learn from, they're not just going to, I was hitting him with some clean shots, but because he took so many shots, he knows how to ride the shots and close the distance so you don't want them clean and all kinds of stuff that I've not really dealt with much before. So, yeah, I'd like to fight someone like him again.
And then obviously, in the second round, big takedown, straight into the submission. It's you and Josh Barnett, only 2 people to ever tap him out. It's pretty good company. Is this a string to your bow that we need to learn about the submission game?
Yeah, let me just start by saying I think I deserve a damn bonus for that. What do you think? I think I do. I need that money. Yeah, I've been doing jiu-jitsu a long time. My dad, he's one of the first black belts in the UK. I've been doing jiu-jitsu. I've been in and out of jiu-jitsu basically all my life. So I've got some jiu-jitsu, just not a lot of people know about it, and I'll just keep it in the back pocket for when I need it. Just like I did tonight. No one expected that, not even me. So it was just instinctive when I got to the mat. Take the back and control.
Did you know you had it in right away, or you were surprised it happened?
Yeah, I just said it in another interview. It's not me personally, it's the actual technique of a rear naked. If you get under someone's neck, it's just so difficult to fight that off. As soon as I had my hand under his neck, I went straight to the shoulder. And I was deep under his chin. So even though I didn't have the hooks, it doesn't matter what grip you use, it's gonna be tight and you're either gonna go to sleep or tap. And obviously I'm a big strong guy, I've got a good squeeze, so as soon as I started squeezing, I knew it was tight.
He is a veteran of the game. Did he feel better than all the other guys you faced?
Honestly, no, and that's not disrespectful to him. I absolutely love Arlovsky. I've got the most respect for any fighter I've ever fought or probably will fight for Arlovsky. But when you get in there, it's just another guy. And when he first came in the cage, he was looking across from me. And I actually had a little giggle to myself. I did it yesterday at the weigh-ins because I just thought, oh man, this is fucking cool. And
man, these guys love themselves. How many questions is one guy gonna ask?
It's not really much different. for me. It wasn't I wasn't being selfish, just the fact he's got so much experience that felt
Never mind the
really
rest of you. This is about me.
than what the other guys have thought they've done in the past.
That must be cool for you though, now that you can go home and think, oh, see, I know these little tricks that you almost can take from him. And
All right, let's take it back, Jeff. I can hardly hear him anyway, but it's like literally 100 questions from one person. And ironically, when you think about it, what would happen, Jeff, if LeBron James during the NBA Finals had his own guy there asking questions? It's kind of unprecedented to have the Mac Life there, and then the fight's over, and the Mac Life guy is going, "Hey, Connor," it's kind of, imagine if LeBron had his own guy there. I've never seen anything like that. Have you? That's how much juice Connor has. It really is. If you think about it, his power is unbelievable. He's got the proper 12 in the octagon. Really unbelievable. Great job by Connor.
Yeah, I mean, it's just negotiating contracts, man. I mean, that's the way it is. I mean, you see people plant people in the gallery, the media gallery, all the time. I mean, politicians do it every single appearance that they do in public has people asking favorable questions in the crowd. So it's no different, really. But sorry, I heard some weird audio right there.
Phil Megatron Haas by majority decision, Jeff, and a nice comeback in that fight by Imavov. But man, it's interesting when you think about it, because hey, LeBron could be up at the podium going, "Hey, what did you want to ask me?" LeBronJames.com. That just goes to show you the power of Conor McGregor. It's pretty badass when you think about it. Mayweather is probably the only guy in combat sports who has more, because he promotes himself, bought himself out of the deal with Bob Arum. And now you're looking at Teofimo trying to do the same thing, if you've been paying attention to that and you're a boxing fan. But you know what, Jeff, while we still have Aspinall up there, what impressed you the most about him tonight? I mean, he wins by submission, and a guy that we thought was going to win the fight with his fist, but he won by submission.
Yeah, I like that he mixed it up. Yeah, he showed in the first round that he's got pretty good boxing and everything, other than the defense flaw that I said earlier. And that has advantages and disadvantages. The disadvantage is you're going to get clipped eventually. But he mixed it up. He looked good on his feet, and then he took the fight to the ground and sunk in a rear naked choke. As you heard him say, he's been doing jiu-jitsu most of his life, and he keeps that in his back pocket. It's not something that he advertises to everybody. Well, Andre Arlovski found out tonight.
Man, unbelievable. I'm really excited, man. I think that Aspinall is going to work his way up in the rankings and get into that mix at heavyweight. And, we're moving on up on this card, too. Speaking of heavyweights, Alexei Oleinik and Chris Daukaus coming up next. A great opportunity for the Philly cop. He's a cop in Philly, so he's tough. And didn't you hang out on the south side of Philly one time, Jeff? You were telling me?
Oh, yeah. I always end up in some small local place, whenever I'm on the road, man. That's just what I like to do. I'm not a chain restaurant, chain bar kind of a guy.
Did you go to Tony Luke's when you were there?
I liked my accent up there.
Oh yeah, well you'll be friends with everyone in 5 seconds wherever you go, man. You're just one of those dudes. But I love the south side of Philly. But Daukaus is a Philly cop. Think about how tough you have to be a cop in Philly. He's done well so far in the UFC, and it's a great opportunity for him tonight to fight a top 10 guy. And for Oleinik at number 10, this is a tough one because Daukaus brings the heat, man. I can't wait for this fight.
Yeah, I just said Boston. I was talking about Boston. I was talking about Boston, but you were talking about Philly. Yeah, I actually love Philly. I ran up the steps of the museum with the Rocky statue there and ate the famous Philly cheesesteaks. But yeah, man, you got to be tough to be a police officer, a Philly police officer. No question about it. No question about it.
Yeah, and I'm excited to see what he's able to do. When he gets in there against Oleinik tonight. And then you got Rosa. Charles Rosa is a badass. And Derek Minner, that's a good fight coming up. And then Ketlin Vieira and Yana Kunitskaya is going to be awesome, the co-main event. If Ketlin can win this fight, she jumps into contention. But she came in because she came in heavy. This one's at a 38 catch weight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there was a few. We didn't really touch on it, but there were a few anomalies at the weigh-in, man. One of them set a record.
Man, unbelievable when you think about that too. I mean, he literally came in. Who was it? Who was it? Who was it? Who was it?
Alvarez.
It was yeah, who was it that came in? My mind is mush right now. Who was it that came in literally 10 pounds overweight?
I thought it was Alves. I don't have it written down either. But it was what? How do you even
It was
step
and
on who? Did you find out who it was?
I missed all that, Jeff. You froze. What was that again?
No, I was saying that if I'm 11 pounds overweight or 10 and a half pounds overweight, I'm not going to the scale. I'm falling in the shower. I'm puking. I'm eating something that's going to make me throw up that I'm alert. There's no way I'm going down there and looking that unprofessional. I'm getting out of that fight before anybody knows that I'm 10 pounds overweight. Like I said, slip on the bathroom floor, you know, whatever the hell you got to do. I can't believe that he walked out there on the scale and acted like he was going to be close to making weight.
Yeah, man. I mean, 10 pounds is something went really horribly wrong in that weight cut. And, you know, he's been around a long time, has a lot of pro fights and just very uncharacteristic. Meanwhile, we lost and I was really looking forward to Drakkar Close and Bob Ross. One of Drakkar Close's cornermen tested positive for COVID just a few hours before the fight. So we lost that one too. And that's a shame because I was looking forward to Drakkar Close and Violent Bob Ross.
Yeah, and then we lost the other fight from an injury in the back, warming up.
Yeah. Oh, geez. Too much, right?
It's the fight. It's the fight game.
It was back spasms. It was Emmers. Yep. Jamal Emmers, back spasms in the back.
Yeah, that doesn't happen every day, but yeah, it's just weird, man. Weird stuff going on the day of the event.
In the chat, everybody's talking about the Conor Khabib rematch, if it's going to happen or not, man. There's so much chat going on about that. I would say no. I think Khabib would never give Conor the chance to fight him again, no matter how much Dana begs, everyone begs, because when you beat someone the way he beat Conor, why would you ever give them a chance at redemption? Especially someone you hate, especially when you don't care about money. It's going to take a lot to get Khabib back in the octagon to begin with, but against Conor. So just wanted to chime in with what everybody's talking about in the chat, but Jeff, it's crazy when you think about the UFC this year with Jones going up to heavyweight, with McGregor back full swing, looking for that Poirier trilogy in May, not for a title, with Michael Chandler coming into the UFC with those divisions 55 and 70, Adesanya moving up, and you look at the possibility of the return of Henry Cejudo, Max Holloway's on fire, T-City, Brian Ortega's back and looking good, the resurgence of Cody Garbrandt, TJ Dillashaw's coming back off suspension. Dominic Cruz is fighting Casey Kenny. Can you believe that? Dominic Cruz is fighting Casey. I give the Dominator mad props for that. 2 Arizona boys in that fight. You never know if Dominic Cruz is going to make that comeback. This is a big year for the UFC. Stipe and Ngannou. And the one division that's a little thin really is light heavyweight. But I just can't wait to see this year where it goes, because we started with Conor. You got Conor coming up again. You don't know if Khabib's coming back. But this is just a great year. So many stars at the top in the UFC. Amanda Nunes about to defend that belt again. You got 6 title fights coming up in the next few weeks, 3 of them on March 6th at UFC 259. And it's headlined by Adesanya and Jan Blachowicz. You got, Peter Yan and Aljamain Sterling. You got Amanda Nunes and Megan Anderson. 3 title fights on one card, and then a second pay-per-view at the end of the month. And starting tonight, you got Lewis and Blaydes. Then you got Cyril Gahn and Rosenstruik next week. The top-ranked fighters in every division are literally fighting one another within these next few weeks, and we're going to see it all sorted out. We're going to have some incredible title fights coming up this year. I would venture to say, Jeff, that last year no champion lost his or her belt in the octagon. Not one belt was taken away from a champion in the octagon last year. Think about that. That's never happened. Think about that. This year, that's not going to be the case. I would be literally shocked to death.
Yeah, there's too many big competitive title matchups for somebody not to lose their belt. But yeah, last year I felt like, the COVID era kind of started and a lot of champions did not fight that much. And I think they were kind of hoping that the world was going to go back to normal and then they would start fighting again. Well, we're over a year into this now, and they have to get in there, and we're seeing all these title fights taking place. And we're only talking about through May. We have no idea what's going to take place this fall and coming up winter. Yeah, 2021, man, is a great year for fights if they all stay intact.
Yeah, and think about what we've seen already this year, Jeff. We've already seen shots fired. Max Holloway, maybe the performance of the year so far. Max Holloway against Calvin Kattar, unbelievable to start the year on January 16th. Max Holloway says, bring them all, line them up, I'll fight everyone. And by the way, that's the teaser I was telling you about. That's the guy who Henry Cejudo really wants to fight. Vitor told me today he wants to fight Max. All this stuff with Volkanovski, but Henry really wants to fight at 45, and he wants to fight Max Holloway. Jeff, ask me why.
Why?
Because Henry Cejudo wants to fight the best everywhere he goes. There's just something different about that kid, the way he's wired. And I say kid, he's in his 30s. Henry always wants to fight the best. And he believes Max Holloway is the best and the toughest challenge. Think about it. He wanted Mighty Mouse. He wanted Dillashaw. Marlon Moraes was killer. He wanted to fight Dominic Cruz and Jose Aldo. He wants to fight the best. He wants the money fights, but he wants to fight Holloway. So shots fired by Max Holloway early on in this year. Michael Chiesa looked phenomenal against Neil Magny on January 20th. Then you had Poirier sending the world a message along with Michael Chandler. Shots fired at UFC 257. Volkov coming out against Overeem on February 6th. Shots fired. Usman, an incredible performance against Gilbert Burns to win that fight. Shots fired. I mean, it's just been that year where fighters already in 2021 have come out with emphatically dominating performances to let the rest of their divisions know you're going to get some. And I think we've seen tremendous performances to start this year.
Oh, yeah, we've seen tremendous performances even last year to close out the year with everybody stepping up on short notice and saving fight cards and having fastest turnarounds in UFC history and just madness that went on. And then this year, yeah, man, I think that everybody has stepped up. There's been some big fights, big finishes. I think that, we have knockout of the year candidates already well established, and we're
already
not even, we're 2 months into the year. But yeah, man, I agree with you. I'm really excited to get the rest of this year on. I'm excited about tonight, man. I mean, we're going to find out in the co-main event and the main event. Those are meaningful fights in their divisions. And that's what I like. Those are the things that interest me.
Yes.
How's this all going to play out?
I love that, Jeff. Thank you for saying that and bringing that up. That's so true. Meaningful fights within the divisions. Blaydes and Lewis tonight. Gane and Rosenstruik next week. Volkov and Overeem a couple of weeks ago. Kattar and Max Holloway, Poirier and McGregor, Chandler and Hooker. Those are all very meaningful fights in their divisions. And you have the top fighters all lined up to fight one another. You're coming off 2020 with COVID, where it was a bit of a weird year and still is on some level. By the way, I have to throw some props out in the chat to Mario. Mario, I think it's Nitu, Nitu. He came in talking about no one cares about the fight tonight, but he's bringing it strong in the chat room. The only bad thing about Cejudo, it's his weird personality that makes him unlikable. And that's a great point, Mario. That's all by design. Everything Henry's doing is all by design. Think of the schmo. We love the schmo. Dave's one of my favorites. I love Dave. I love the schmo. Anyway, the character. People want that character. Henry created the character of cringe. Henry, the Olympic gold medalist, wasn't making any money. Henry, the flyweight champion, wasn't making any money. Henry, the bantamweight champion, not making any money. He creates the personality. The cringe gets going. His social media takes off. Now he started making more money, and he wants a big money fight. That is a character, and I can tell you I've known Henry a long time. I mean, I'm in Arizona, a long time, and I owe him a big debt of gratitude for me being where I am right now, him and Captain Eric and the whole crew, because they've really helped me out over the years with interviews and things like that. But Henry Cejudo, I can promise you this, is as smart a person as you're ever going to come across. I won't say he's the nicest guy in the world. I'm not saying he's not a nice guy. I'm saying he's not the nicest guy in the world. He does have his boundaries. He does have his limits. He will lay down the law. He doesn't. I ambushed him one time and asked him for an interview when we didn't have it scheduled, and he was coming off a 4-hour workout. I thought he was going to kill me. And I've never been afraid of a 140-pound dude. That day, I was scared to death. But Henry is one of the smartest people I've ever met, and one of the smartest athletes I've ever met. Everything's by design. It's all brilliant. He just wants a big money fight, Jeff, and I don't know that there's a big money fight out there for Henry. That's the sad thing. Everybody wants the – Vitor and I were talking about this today. Everybody wants the money fight now. It's a business, but there isn't really a money fight for Henry Cejudo at this point. I mean, I don't see it. Maybe I'm wrong.
No, what Henry's money fight is a co-main event on a Conor McGregor fight card or a John Jones fight card. That's his money fight. because then he's going to get the residuals from the pay-per-view for years to come. And so it's a long play instead of just the bout agreement money. I agree, man. Those lighter weight classes, it's hard. Conor was the first really star under 155 pounds that the UFC produced. Mighty Mouse was great, man, pound for pound, the best in the world at a time, but he wasn't a star. And it's just hard. It's just hard. It's kind of the opposite in boxing, right? Where the lighter weights are the stars, and in MMA, it seems like the lighter weights, which I consider them the best athletes and the best fighters in the world, are not the heavyweights and light heavyweights. Not in my opinion. They're the lightweight guys, the lighter weight guys, particularly. But yeah, man, I agree. There's no big money. There's no big money fights down there. His big money play is to get to be a co-main event on a really big stars fight card.
Yeah, and it's crazy, and I think that you get on a McGregor card. Everybody wants on the McGregor card, but I really think if they want Charles Oliveira to be a name, they have to put him on the McGregor Poirier in the co-main against someone, and you're welcome for the marketing there and the PR. But when I look at Henry Cejudo's possibilities for a big money fight, I don't know how much, I want to say sizzle or sex appeal, how much appeal that really has for him winning the third belt. It would be unprecedented. No one else, I don't think, could ever do that unless Adesanya won light heavyweight and then went up to heavyweight. I could see maybe that happening. But to win a belt in the third division, that alone should break records on the pay-per-view side if you're just a fan of the sport. But it's not going to happen. That fighter who he would fight, Holloway's got a pretty big name. But again, if you're looking for a big money fight, man, it's just not there. The big money fights out there right now are Conor McGregor, obviously. Khabib, if he fights again. Poirier's hitting that level after a couple of fights against Conor. You get the big money against Diaz. You get the big money against Jorge Masvidal. And I'm missing one. Who am I missing, Jeff? Connor Jones. Did I say John Jones? He's up there too. That's a money fight, especially at heavyweight. Nope, I think we lost Jeff. We have now a silhouette. Is that Jeff's actual hair? I don't think so. Pretty cool, though, right? Looks like it would be like a silhouette of one of the Partridge Family kids from the 70s or something. But, man, the numbers just keep going up in the chat. We love it, guys. McGregor, Poirier 3, Gaethje versus Charles, and the winner of the two fight for the title, says Mario from the barrio. I sang that song 1,000 times when my ex-girlfriend wanted to meet Mario Lopez. Mario Lopez. I'm like, Mario is from the barrio. But anyway, Mario's having a good time in here tonight. I do like the Gaethje-Oliveira matchup, but I do think it should be Gaethje and Chandler instead of Gaethje and Oliveira. And by the way, I just want to point out, guys, as we wait for Jeff to come back in, Alexei Oleinik is 43 years old, man. When you're like Overeem or Oleinik and these guys coming in there and literally, taking a pounding in their 40s, and that's what is happening to him right now. He's getting crushed by Dawkins. Herb Dean, you're waiting for a knee to the forehead. How many shots are you going to let him take, Herb? For God's sake. Dawkins with an incredible, wow, what an incredible win for Chris Dawkins. Oh, my God. Oleinik just got pounded out in there. Alpha G says Chandler needs at least 3 more wins. Who are those 3 wins going to be? You think 3 more wins for Mike Chandler, a 3-time Bellator champ coming in? I guess it took Gaethje a while, but he also lost to Alvarez and Poirier. We'll see if we get Jeff Kane back, but what a performance by Chris Dawkins. Dawkins, Jeff, just pounded the crap out of Oleinik.
Yeah, no, I saw it. Good win for him. And we talked about this in the preview show about opportunities. And he was one of the guys that we said has a big opportunity right here. And what he did.
Oleinik came in for a kick and got popped with the right. Jeff?
Ooh. Yes, I'm
there.
here.
You are. You're back. Yeah, we got Jeff back. There you are.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. Buddy? I got disconnected. But yeah, we talked about in the preview show these guys with opportunities, and Dawkins was one of them that we talked about. And he just took out the number 10th ranked heavyweight in the world, and he's going to try to upshow those heavyweights later, in the main event. He stood out tonight on this fight card.
Dawkins stood out, and Aspinall stood out. A couple of guys making their way up the ladder in the heavyweight division. And, it's. I think Herb Dean let him take way too many shots. You always want to let a fighter go out on a shield. The fighter's never going to want you to stop it. But Oleinik could barely walk. He's stumbling. I think Herb Dean let him eat about at least 5 or 6 shots too many. And easy for me to say in the heat of the moment. Herb Dean's a great official. I'm not going to be that punk ass dude sitting here just ripping on Herb Dean, but I thought he took too many shots there.
Yeah, I mean, he was definitely hurt and was hurt badly. Yeah, I don't. I mean, they'll show the replay here again in a minute, and then I'll get to look at it again. I don't know. You know, it's funny because the other night I was like, I felt like that fight was let go a little bit. And you were like, huh? And now I'm like, I don't know, man. I got to look at it, man. But it's subjective. It's like you said, it's just subjective. It's kind of how you feel in the moment. But we'll watch this replay whenever it comes back.
Man, that was crazy. Dawkins is the man, though. I mean, this is what a great story that would be. A Philly cop eventually fighting for a UFC title. There's going to be there's so many guys in front of him, but he's got to be ranked now. Look, Jeff, your job got tougher. Jeff Kane, just so you guys, if you're wondering, my partner right here, he's one of the few guys who's got a vote pound for pound rank. I mean, not pound for pound. He's got a vote in the rankings for the UFC and for Bellator. So now with Aspinall and what he did tonight, and now Dawkins, you know, Aspinall beating it. Now, look, that was Arlovsky, and, you know, you might not get into the rankings by beating Arlovsky, but you would get into the rankings, and you have a chance to get into the rankings if you're Dawkins by dominating and finishing the number 10 guy in the world like he just did to Olenek.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way he's not going to be ranked. I mean, he just took out the number 10th ranked guy in the world, you know, and he's on now he's 3-0 in the UFC. And so, yeah, man, the heavyweight division has a new top 10 ranked fighter, in my opinion. I mean, how does he not jump in there?
Yeah, 10 of his 11 wins by knockout, and it's really cool. I mean, it's good to see, by the way, Joe Martinez and Brendan Fitzgerald getting a chance. Those guys do a great job on ring announcing and play-by-play tonight. But that right hand of Dawkins, Jeff, when Olenek came in for a kick, he stung him with the right, and then Olenek swung a little wildly with a hook that missed, a left hook, and then Dawkins just able to land that right consistently, threw a knee to the midsection, and just started throwing bombs, elbows. He's hitting him with a left elbow and a right fist up against the cage. That's badass. His combo's not a 1-2, it's an elbow 2, elbow 2, elbow 2, elbow 2. Unbelievable. I love that. That's Philly cop style right there.
Yeah, I'm watching the replay now. Yeah, man, I don't know. I mean, I guess that could have been stopped maybe a little bit. I mean, he was in the fight until those last two connected right there. He wasn't knocked down. And so I think that maybe that's what, you know, Herb didn't jump on it because he was standing still. That was a huge step up in competition for Dawkins. And he delivered, man. He delivered.
Yeah, he did. And his last 3 wins have been finished in the first round. I think he'll be in the rankings, Jeff. And I don't think there's any doubt. So someone's going to drop out of there. But his just bringing the heat and the pain. We have so many violent finishers in this heavyweight. There's another one. I mean, even in the top 15, you look at the guys who are in the top 15, he looks better than anyone that's ranked 11 through 15. Look, I mean, Walt Harris is 0-2 at heavyweight, right? He just destroyed Olenek, who's number 10. JDS has not looked good in his recent fights. You know, Ivanov and Pavlovich and Tibura, I don't think any of them, and Tibura just beat Greg Hardy, but I don't think, and that doesn't really say all that much, but I don't think any of those guys are as good as Dawkins from what I've seen in recent fights. And then you start getting into Augusto Sakai, and we saw that fight against Overeem, and then you got Shamil, and then from there you go to Cyril Gane, Overeem, but he's not cracking the top 5 anytime soon, but I can see him being a top 10 fighter with one more win as of right now. I mean, he's going to be in that bottom 5 of the top 15.
I mean, yeah, I'll have to look at it. I mean, he just took out the number 10th ranked guy, you know, and so he's going to go in front of him, you know, and he's 3-0 in the UFC with a win over the top, the 10th ranked guy. So he could jump in there as high as 9 or somewhere in that area, or 10. I'm just not sure. I'll have to look at it, but you know, that's one win for him over a ranked opponent, and so we're going to see. We're going to see how he stocks up now that he's going to get somebody else. Olenek is 43 years old, although he hasn't looked it in his fights. And he didn't look bad tonight. He just got clipped. Like you said, he ate a straight right hand off of a leg kick and got hurt and never really recovered until he got pounded against the fence and Herb Dean stopped the fight. But yeah, man, I mean, the guy looks good. I'm not discrediting how good he is. I just want to see him put together some, another win over somebody in the top 10, so we can kind of see better where he fits. But he's jumping into the
NRG
rankings,
Striker.
Jim.
Yeah, he is. And I see NRG Striker. I see you, NRG Striker. My man. There you go. Dawkins versus Stipe, Cop versus Fireman. Think about that one. Cop versus Fireman. Dawkins has a long way to go before he fights Stipe. But, man, that would be an intriguing storyline. Cop versus Fireman. Not only that, you got like a Philly Cop and a Cleveland Fireman, two gritty, grimy cities. And I mean gritty and grimy with the utmost respect in a great way. I'm from the Northeast. I love those words, gritty and grimy. But Cop versus Fireman, I mean, there's always a storyline there. The people in the chat bringing it strong tonight, Jeff. I like, also coming in, Josria Roquez coming in and saying Jones is getting slower. That's why he's moving up to heavyweight. If you've watched John Jones workouts, he's not getting slower. He's not getting slow. The rest of the world's getting better. But how could you not be slower than you were when you were 21, 22 years old when Bones won the title? When he was in his early 20s. You're going to be, as you get older, your physical tools are going to decline a little bit. And we've seen it with every great athlete. We've seen it with LeBron. We've seen it with Michael Jordan. We've seen it with Tom Brady. The physical traits and all these things kind of die down, and everything, you're not as fast, your arm's not as strong, different things like that. But what you lose in physical prowess, you make up for mentally and with experience. And that's what we've seen the great ones do. Tom Brady just won another Super Bowl. That's what we're seeing LeBron do right now. Although LeBron doesn't look like he's lost much athletically at all, which is literally incredible if you think about it at his age with the number of minutes he's played in his career. But John Jones, just because Santos, and he's had those layoffs too, let's not forget. And he came off the layoff and kicked DC's head off. Jones has had those layoffs. He looked great against Gustafsson coming back. But, Anthony Smith, he looked a little human. And then against Santos and Reyes, Jones looked the most quote-unquote human he's ever looked in the cage. But the question is he slipping, or has the rest of the world caught up? And we also know that Jones is kind of notorious for not really training super hard for every fight. And that's, it's not a knock on him. Just when you're that good, sometimes you don't have to, right? But a focused, determined John Jones, and we've seen it with Conor too, a focused, determined John Jones, to me, is still the most dangerous fighter in the world. And I can't wait to see with this new challenge at heavyweight, and you've seen the workouts. He looks amazing. This new challenge, reinvigorating. Sometimes you need to relight that fire, Jeff. This is that move, and I think this is what's going to stoke that fire for Bones Jones. And I would go out on a limb, and it's not much of a limb at all, and say that we will see the best version of John Jones at heavyweight. The best version of John Jones will be at heavyweight. Mark it down, write it down, email it, send it, whatever you do. Post it, put it in a story, TikTok it, whatever you want to say. We'll see the best version of John Jones at heavyweight.
I mean, we're going to see John Jones. Yeah, John Jones is going to be prepared when he moves to heavyweight. Whether or not that's good enough to beat Stipe or Francis, we're going to have to see. I think John Jones is the most dangerous light heavyweight the world's ever seen. I don't know where he fits into the heavyweight division. I just don't know. I mean, it could be a case where John Jones goes up there and doesn't look good. Gets knocked out by Stipe, and then where does he go?
It's possible. It's a 50-50 shot, Jeff. I mean, it really is. I think Stipe's that good, and I think you have to be that good to beat Jones. I think Jeff froze up a little bit there, but you have to be that good to beat Jones. It's a 50-50 shot. Jones and Stipe, to me, is almost a pick 'em fight.
Heavyweight division. I'm sorry.
I think we're lagging a little bit, Jeff, and that's why we're talking over each other. We lost you for a couple minutes. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now, yeah.
All right, we got you back. Go ahead, man. We didn't get anything of what you said. You were frozen in time. You were the Han Solo. We said
it was nice. No, I was saying that Jones is the most dangerous light heavyweight in the world for sure. I want to see him at heavyweight because
who is this? Is this Dawkins already?
The good coaching that I get over Martinez, BJJ, and Will Martinez, I'm more than prepared for any fight that I have in that. Obviously, you were confident in your striking going in, but I have to say there was even a moment where he looked hurt, but you were patient and you actually backed away to stop him from grabbing that clinch. It's very good for a guy with this huge fight. Yeah, it's definitely something that I've been working on. I don't want to get over, crazy with all the punches, the kicks, whatever I'm throwing, gas myself out, and then, excuse me, and then, end up losing the fight eventually. So, realistically, it's just focusing on composure, keeping my level-headedness in there, and just making sure that all the punches count. Your fellow prospect Tom Aspel said to us after he beat Andre Arlovski that there was something different about fighting a veteran that he hadn't experienced in fighting guys of his similar age, and that he felt he took what he called the rub from fighting him. And there was things Andre did there that he'd never seen before, and he said, "Oh, that's interesting." Do you have the exact same experience?
No. Realistically, no. I treat every opponent as if they're just another body in there. I'm not trying to make these people out to be the monsters that people say they are, or look at all the accolades or anything like that. When I step in that cage, there's no face to that body. It's simply, I have to go in there. I have a task in hand, and I need to handle that task. And if I start, all the accomplishments that everyone has, really accomplished over, especially Alexi's, 20-year career, I lose my mind in there, and that's just something that I have to do. Hit me up on Twitter in a couple days, and we'll talk about it further. But as of right now, no.
I was going to say, will you give yourself the opportunity to do that after the fact now? Now you can't beat him, but yes, you can be like,
yes, absolutely. So once I get home, my wife usually brings me back to reality. She'll usually say, like, do you know who you just beat, or do you know who you just did, type of thing. And that really drives it home. So I'll be looking forward to seeing my wife and my baby, and taking that day, because I can't take more than a day doing that, or else I'll lose my mind. So strictly a day to reflect on this win, and that's it.
I know this week pushed you to give a specific name. I'm not going to do that, but you just fought a veteran of the sport. Would you rather fight another veteran, or would you rather fight another up-and-comer like yourself in the next fight, if you could pick one of them?
Realistically, I don't care who it is, as long as they're ranked higher than me. That's it. I just want to fight the guys who make the most sense. I don't want to take any steps back. This was a step forward. I took this step on this journey, and that was the first step. I'm not going back from here. It's simply, we are going forward. We're going to go to the top, and today was the first step.
So take the opponent next?
Absolutely.
Congrats, man.
Thanks, sir.
I'll give you a chance to get brownie points with the wife. Does she always break down your fights, and how good is she at breaking down your past fights?
She's pretty good. I don't want to give her a big head or anything like that, because but yeah, she's pretty damn good at everything. So I'm really happy with her.
Is it safe to say that you're not going to get the teasing from the coworkers for losing to the older guy tonight?
Definitely not, but they might be like, you could have did it quicker. So there's always something. There's always something with them. I'm sure my phone's blowing up now. There's always something that they'll nitpick it. You can't be. They're striving for perfection, and as am I, and as everyone on the team, and that's as close as we can get is our performances in there. And yeah, so they're going to be giving me shit.
All right, Jeff, let's take this back. Chris Daukaus on the podium. It starts to get a little monotonous after a while, and man, I'll tell you what a performance by him, and he's got the wife and the baby, and pretty cool. So I want to get back to the chat. Jim Grieshaber, Jeff Kane. This is MMA Weekly's live coverage of UFC Fight Night, Blaydes versus Lewis, number 2 and number 4 from the Apex in Vegas, powered by CBD Emporium featuring Level Select CBD. CBD Emporium featuring Level Select CBD with a special offer just for you, because you know us, because we like you, because you're fans of the greatest sport on God's green earth. They're going to give you 50% off any CBD Emporium or Level Select CBD product right now when you go to stayinthefightmma.com and enter the code MMA50. Let me repeat. 50% off. Stayinthefightmma.com. The greatest CBD planets on God's green earth, or the CBD products on God's green planet. How about that? CBD Emporium featuring Level Select CBD. 3 levels for the different levels of pain. It helps with stress and anxiety. It helps you get a better night's sleep. It's just an unbelievable line of products. 50% off right now. Stayinthefightmma.com. Enter the code MMA50 for CBD Emporium featuring Level Select CBD. Stay in the fight. And Jeff, I wanted to take this back and get back to the chat room, because every time we go to the podium, we lose numbers. Every time we come back and talk, the numbers go up. I kind of like the way this is working out for us. But Jeff, I want to say that where is it? Where is Luke Price? Luke with a good job in there. He said, where's that first one? The heavyweights are all in a crappy position to reach the title right now. And then he says heavyweights had to wait on DC and Stipe for 3 years, and now they have to wait for Ngannou and Jones. He's right on the money with that. Good job, Luke. I mean, yes, definitely using the force on that one. But Jeff, he's right on the money. People can stagnate the top of a division for a long time. We see it at welterweight. Now, Leon Edwards, I mean, he's going to fight Bilal Muhammad, right? Who deserves a title shot more than Leon Edwards? But the top of the division, Masvidal probably doesn't deserve another one, although a full camp will be nice for Street Jesus. Going to sell a lot of pay-per-views. But 1, 2, 3 fighters can clog up the top of a division for a long time.
Yeah, and the Ultimate Fighter can clog up a division for a long time as well. But yeah, with Jones coming in, and we kind of have the deal in the lightweight division now playing out where it's kind of on hold. We don't know what's going on with the championship part of the 155-pound division. But yeah, the heavyweight division particularly is tough, man. Jones is coming in. You know he's going to get the fight unless something crazy happens in the title fight. And if something crazy happens in the title fight where there's a trilogy, then we're pushed back even further. Yeah, man, it sucks right now to be a contender in the heavyweight division not named John Jones.
Yeah, no doubt. And I really am excited to see. I mean, I want Jones and Stipe and Ngannou to clog up the top of the heavyweight division because let's be honest, there's a drop-off, man. And look, Curtis Blaydes is going to think otherwise, and Curtis Blaydes fans, I'm telling you what, I think Jones, and I said it earlier, Jones and Blaydes is going to be the rivalry. Mark my word right now. The two wrestling heavyweights at the top of the division, it's going to be Jones and it's going to be Blaydes. Look, Stipe is getting a little older. I don't know how much longer he's going to fight. I'm not just discounting Stipe. As long as Stipe is around, I think he's going to beat Ngannou, and then it's a 50-50 pick'em with Stipe and Jones. But as we move forward, I think Bones is going to be around a little bit longer. Maybe he wants to go on a title run, maybe at heavyweight. He did at light heavyweight, and I honestly believe it's going to be Jones and Blaydes. We might even see a trilogy. But I think Blaydes is on that level. I think Stipe and Jones and Blaydes. I do not put Francis on that level. He's a headhunter. He's a killer. I am going to have to see Francis win a fight on the ground. We might not ever have to see that, but I think you're going to have to. I still don't think Francis is good enough on the ground to have longevity as a heavyweight champion. I just don't until he shows me otherwise. And I think you need that, Jeff. I think you need the ground. Look, JDS with the jiu-jitsu, he had great ground game. Didn't show it all that often, but he had great ground game. Stipe is a really good wrestler. That's how he beat Ngannou the first time. And even against DC, had a takedown and his takedown defense. You have to have a more well-rounded game. To me, that's why I love Blaydes. That's why I love Jones. That's why I love Stipe. I think those are the three guys, the Rosenstrikes, the Gans, the Volkovs, the step down, the Ngannous, the guys who are just the strikers. They're at a disadvantage against the guys who can really do it all. That's why I say Stipe, Jones, and Blaydes. And we're going to see, I believe, Blaydes tonight absolutely dominate Derrick Lewis and leave no doubt that he's a top contender.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see, man. That's why we have the fights. With Francis, I feel like he doesn't necessarily have to be a black belt in jiu-jitsu or even a great wrestler. He just has to have extremely good takedown defense, right? I mean, if you can keep it from going to the ground, then all their wrestling and jiu-jitsu means nothing. And so I feel like we're gonna get that question answered in the Stipe fight. Francis knows what he has to improve on. If he can keep Stipe from taking him down, then that changes everything for Francis. That to me is his biggest improvement. He doesn't need to necessarily work on his triangle choke or whatever, man. He needs to work on his takedown defense and getting back to his feet if he does get taken down.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. And look, I mean, look no further than Derrick Lewis. Derrick Lewis has really had to work on his takedown defense as well. But Ngannou had the loss against Derrick Lewis. I'd love to see those two guys fight again. But I really think that, and he has just completely destroyed Curtis Blaydes 2 times. And I just don't think Blaydes was ready at that point. But I look to the future and I think about Ngannou. And I don't mean, I told you I love Francis. He's unbelievable. And, Kane was at the end of his career. And I don't think you saw the best Kane in there. He even hurt himself in that fight. JDS completely done by the time Francis, won by TKO. And then Rosenstrike, who is unproven and we don't know about yet. So this is not taking anything away from Francis. I just think he has to show a more well-rounded game. If he can go in there and look, you can get the finish against Stipe. That can happen in any fight. We've seen it a million times over the years at heavyweight. But until I see Francis grind one out, win a decision, win one on the ground, that's just my opinion, and I'm sticking to it, man. And I'm getting ripped in the chat right now, but I honestly believe to have that run in this heavyweight division right now, you're going to have to put it on the ground. And if you're going to beat John Jones, you're going to be on the ground. You're going to have to fight off your back. There's no way, unless it's a big shot early on, that Ngannou just runs right through a Stipe or a Jones without getting his ground game tested. Those guys are too good and too smart to let that happen.
Yeah, I mean, it just takes one shot. You know, that's the thing with Francis. Look, I agree. Francis is the one guy in the top of the division with a glaring hole in his game. I don't think that everybody else has a glaring hole. They have weaknesses, but not like a glaring hole. Francis has that, but he knows that. You know, and he's trying to shore that up every day. We're going to see how much of that gap he's closed in the fight with Stipe. You know, I don't know, but like I said, we'll see. Francis has that one equalizer that it doesn't matter. You know, if he lands, it doesn't matter what your accolades are. You're a white belt, you know, and so we'll see, man. I think Stipe's going to beat Francis. I'll put it that way. I'll put it that way. I think Stipe's going to beat Francis, but then what happens with Francis after that? I don't know. I think that Jones might be hoping Francis beats Stipe because I think it's an easier matchup for John Jones.
Yeah, and think about that. Imagine wanting to face Ngannou. Because think about that. Yeah. I mean, we said it the other day on the preview show. Check it out on YouTube. There is a division full of killers just waiting for John Jones. And we said it. Most of these guys aren't going to get the shot. And Luke said it in the chat. The top of the division's clogged up for a while, man. Like, I mean, even Blaydes and, you know, Lewis, the winner of that fight, Gane and Rosenstruck, the winner of that fight, they're not getting a title shot anytime soon. We know Jones is going to get the winner of Stipe versus Ngannou, but what if Ngannou beats Stipe in a very close fight, controversial judging? What if it's a back and forth? You know, does Stipe not deserve an immediate rematch as the greatest heavyweight champion of all time? Of course he does. So that probably wouldn't happen because Stipe doesn't really get the respect he deserves. So you have the possibility of that rematch. You have Jones in there. Jones fighting the winner. Whatever happens in that fight, there could be a rematch there. Jones could fight the loser. You could be looking at those three guys tying up the division for a long time. And I think Francis is the odd man out there. I actually believe that Jones is going to end up being the champ by the end of the year. And I think Jones is that good. But I definitely believe the ground game of Curtis Blaydes makes him the wild card in this equation. And I can't wait to see what he does tonight because Derrick Lewis is very tough to keep down on the ground. He's very tough I mean, he's just so big and so strong. He's tough to out-muscle, and we know he's tough to finish. So this is a big, big test for Blaydes. The two Ngannou fights are the only ones he's lost, and he got violently finished in both. Has he matured? Has he evolved? Has he learned from those performances? Remember, Lewis has a win over Ngannou, and unfortunately, one of the worst fights I've ever seen. I've never been so disappointed. I couldn't wait for that fight. Someone was going to die in the octagon. I was convinced that night. And it just didn't end up happening. They were just so respectful of each other's power. The fight didn't end up being a good fight at all. But I can't. So many great fighters at the top of this division. We can sit here and speculate all night long, Jeff, but matchups and styles make fights. You got the wrestling and the violence of Blaydes against the boxing of Derrick Lewis. And I think that, you know, you sometimes we tend to get carried away. We tend to get, you know, we get all hyped up. This guy could beat that guy beats this guy. But it is about the matchups and it is about the styles. We talked about it earlier, man. Adesanya is a bad matchup for Jan Blachowicz, where Jones probably would have been a better matchup for him. I mean, it's just interesting to see because sometimes a guy will miss out on a title shot because of a stylistic problem against a fighter who beats him on his way there, but then work back toward a title shot by beating fighters who they match up better against. And that, to me, is why it's so important to be able to pick your shots. There's a reason why Usman wants to fight Masvidal next, because he believes that's the money fight, but he also believes that's his easiest fight out of all those guys. I mean, when you can start picking your shots and calling your fights, that's what you're going to do. You're going to pick the money fights, and you're going to pick the guy out of all of them who you think you match up best against. And in Kamaru's case, that's Masvidal.
Sorry, Jim, if I'm back.
There you are. You're back. I just said the when you start picking your shots and calling your fights and your opponents, you're going to pick the two things are a money fight or the guy you think you have the easiest matchup or the best matchup against. And that's why Usman called out Masvidal, because it's a money fight, but because that's the guy he believes he has the best matchup against.
Yeah. Yeah, and you're going to see Jones do the same thing up here. I'm just getting back to the live action. Rosa got dropped at the start of that second round.
Yeah, Minner's looking good so far. Derrick Minner's looking good.
Yeah, he is. I'm kind of surprised at that, honestly.
Yeah, Charles Rosa's a beast, man. Boston strong.
I mean, he's been in there with a lot of high level fighters. Now he's lost a lot of those, but not by much. Not by much. But he's getting touched up and worked up in this fight. He's good on the ground and he's able to protect himself once he's down there. But he's getting beat up on the feet a little bit, Jim.
Yeah, he is. And this is, that's a cool tattoo, by the way, that Minner has down his back, his last name. But it's interesting, too, just picking your opponents, calling your shots. You're finally at that point in your career. Look, we've said it. Usman wants no part of Colby Covington again. Nobody wants any of Colby Covington. They can say anything they want. But did you see what Colby did? I like that he came out and he said, I'm not fighting Leon Edwards, man. My next fight's a title fight. I don't blame him. I said it here on the show. There's no way I'm fighting anyone but the fighter who has the belt if I'm Colby Covington. There's no way he should, and there's no way I would if I were him.
Well, hello.
Yep, we got you.
Well, I mean, all these fighters can call out and say what they're going to do and what they're not going to do. They're going to do whatever Sean Shelby and the matchmakers tell them to do. Colby's not special. I mean, we just talked about if Stipe loses to Ngannou, Stipe's not getting a rematch. John Jones is fighting Ngannou.
No.
That's it. That's the greatest heavyweight. Mm-hmm. So Colby Covington doesn't get to call out who he wants to fight. Neither does Justin Gaethje, and neither does Michael Chandler. They can all voice their opinions, but at the end of the day, they're going to be a bout agreement put in front of them, and they're going to sign the damn thing. And it doesn't matter if it's for a title fight or not. I mean, I don't know, man. I don't like when fighters are prima donnas, Jim. I don't like it. I don't like it. Fight who the hell they tell you to fight.
But he's not going to. Colby's proven that he's not going to. And maybe that'll, obviously as soon as he slips at all and he's not at the top of the rankings, he's going to, pay the price for that. But I'm just saying if I were Colby, I would hold out for Kamaru because he felt like he was winning that fight. He didn't like the stoppage. And clearly, if you've watched what Usman's done and what Colby's done, they're the two best in the division. And I have to admit, I didn't think Usman would make Burns look so bad. Kamaru's on another level right now, but I still think Colby's the guy who can take his belt. I don't think Masvidal is going to get dominated by Usman. They fight, I believe he gets dominated by Usman again. I think the full camp for Usman actually makes that more of a one-sided matchup for Kamaru against Jorge Masvidal. And I really like Masvidal. It's nothing against him. I just think it's a bad matchup for him, and you and I agree on that. I think Colby's going to end up wearing that strap by the end of the year. Really do. And I can't wait to see, Bilal Muhammad's on a roll. Leon Edwards hasn't fought in a long time. I want to see where Edwards stands in all this. And they put Bilal Muhammad in there. And to me, that doesn't give you a real gauge on Leon Edwards. And it's really almost a no-win situation for him. I want to see Edwards get a top-level fight. I want to see, Wonder Boy fight Gilbert Burns coming up here next. I wonder where Wonder Boy fits in that title picture. Or lightweight. Those are the three stacked divisions right now. And 45 is not that far behind.
Yeah, I mean, I think Masvidal is going to get that title fight because that was the biggest selling pay-per-view last year. And there's the built-in kind of excuse, and why not run that back? It's what the champion wants. Jorge will definitely take that fight. And so I think that's the fight that's going to happen next, and that might put Colby in a position where he's going to have to fight somebody. Maybe Wonder Boy, man, or somebody. I don't know. Or he's going to sit out a long time. I mean, he's going to have to make a choice that he's going to sit out a long time or he's going to take a fight, because I think Masvidal is going to get that fight just because of how it's going to sell. But we'll see, man. Like I said, we're at a time now where the reason why Masvidal got that fight in the first place was because he stepped up on short notice. And so all of this stuff, there's going to be crazy things happen to where we're going to see certain people this year get huge opportunities on short notice just because of the landscape that we're living in. And maybe Colby's going to be that, because I'll tell you what, if I put together an Usman fight against Masvidal, Colby's the guy that's stepping in if somebody gets hurt. And I have to tell Kobe to stay ready because this could come the day before the fight.
Man, I know too. I mean, everyone wants to see, and those are bad matchups for Masvidal. Covington's a bad matchup for him, and Usman's a bad matchup for him. Jorge against strikers, and I mean, look, and he's already fought Wonderboy. But I think that those two guys with their wrestling, they're just bad matchups for Masvidal. I don't think he has. I mean, everyone has a chance, but I don't give him much of a chance to beat either Kamaru or Colby. And I think it is their wrestling that sets them apart. Even though Colby and Kamaru, they just struck against one another the whole time. It was all striking. But I really think those are two. They might be the two best welterweights of all time. Everyone loves GSP, and rightfully so. But things evolve, fighters get better, and I look at what is happening in this division right now. Yes, I'd love to see GSP come back and fight Kamaru. Is it going to happen? Probably not. Yes, I'd love to see Kamaru and Colby run it back right now. Not going to happen. You're going to have the Ultimate Fighter. He's going to be coaching against Masvidal. They're going to fight each other later in the year, and one of those guys, Colby's probably not going to get a title shot, if at all, this year at the very end of the year. So it's going to tie up the division even longer. But the main objective here, Jeff, is to turn Kamaru Usman into a star. That's the main objective. They want to make him bankable. They want to make the big money off Kamaru Usman fights. And 500,000 buys against Gilbert Burns ain't cutting the mustard. You're using Masvidal to turn him into a star. Masvidal gets the big paycheck and another shot to wear gold. Usman gets the big name recognition, but it is not the best matchup in that division. The best matchup and the two best fighters are clearly Kamaru Usman and Colby Covington, in my opinion, and I don't think I'm alone there.
I think that Masvidal is a bigger star than Kamaru right now. Usman's a different type of to build him. It's going to be longevity. He's not a guy that's going to do to punch somebody at a press conference and say 3-piece at a soda. You know what I mean? He's not going to throw a dolly at a bus. You know what I mean? So he's not going to get that quick, wow, kind of thing. And so it's going to have to be on his legacy. It's going to have to be kind of like GSP. You're going to be like, look, Usman's just done all this. How is he not a star? But like you said, there's tough people in that division. But if Kamaru can hold on to the title for, the next 2 or 3 fights.
I think Jeff froze again. Am I frozen too?
He's ultimate.
No, I don't think I'm frozen.
The Ultimate Fighter will definitely help Masvidal, or help
It'll
Kamaru,
definitely.
rather.
Yeah, and it'll help Jorge too. And I'm not hating on Masvidal. I'm happy to see him get another shot. He did step in and make weight on short notice when Burns got COVID. I give him mad props for that. He does deserve another shot. I just don't think he deserves it more than Covington. And also, Colby's fight was before Jorge's. But this is a big, big pay-per-view draw, especially after a season of tough. That fight will do 1.2, maybe like 1.1 to 1.5 million buys. I mean, that's what I think. Masvidal and Kamaru. And Kamaru is going to get that share of the pay-per-view money. That's going to be nice for him. And hopefully he gets that effect like McGregor did for Khabib and now McGregor did for Poirier. He gets that effect of becoming a star by fighting Jorge, who benefited from that when he fought Nate Diaz, who benefited from that from fighting Conor McGregor. It all comes back to Conor, is what we're saying.
The 9 degrees of Conor.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, well, you build these guys off of other people for sure, and we've talked about that. That's why certain fights are co-main events, and people are like, why is that the co-main event when the fight before them is ranked guys or whatever, or higher ranked guys? There's a method to the madness. We're building people.
Ouch, man. We got some heat coming in the press room. I Oblitter texted you is just on fire in there right now, saying Khabib versus McRapist 2. The press conference must be fire. Ouch, McRapist. This guy's being creative. And then the next one says Masvidal versus Nick Diaz for the CTE belt. Ooh. I had to read those because it's clever,
terrible,
but my
man.
God. Ooh, terrible. Wow.
I don't think
Colby does have a good chance of winning, by the way. For all the people who, and we're getting way more Conor, people in the chat are talking about Conor all night long. And by the way, Derrick Minner just put a complete beatdown on Charles Rosa, who, I mean, that was not fun. If you're Charles Rosa, that was one of those fights where just dirty and grimy and on the ground and in your face and beating you up and taking you down and beating you up more. Wow, Derek Minner with an incredible performance against Boston Strong Charles Rosa. And then we got the co-main coming up, followed by the main event. And it's exciting. And then we got the Fallout show tomorrow, 3 Eastern, 12 Pacific. Jeff, how much of a chance do you give Colby in a Kamaru rematch?
I think Kamaru's still the favorite. But, I mean, Colby's got a good chance. I mean, Colby's got a good shot. He just can't get hit, like he did late in that fight by Kamaru. I mean, he's got a shot, man. He's got a good shot. Well, what he has going against him and also what he has going for him is that Kamaru and him not only knew each other before, but now they know each other in a combat situation. So they know what to expect out of each other. Kamaru knows what to expect out of Colby, and Colby knows the power that Usman actually has. Usman's changed up his game, though, since the first fight with them, and I don't know what Colby's doing right now. But Colby probably needs to make some adjustments from the first fight. He did lose that fight. He had success early, but he did end up getting finished. So he has a good shot. He says got a good shot, man, but I still say that the champion is the favorite.
Inside the octagon.
Yeah, and the fake eye poke, man. That was a big point in that fight. The eye poke. There's Colby and RDA right there. Colby dominated that fight. I mean, that could have been the end for Kamaru, and it was gamesmanship. It was shit. We've seen other fighters do it. But, man, I really think that, Colby would have a really good shot in that fight. And, it's another one of those fights that really intrigues me. I mean, you want Conor McGregor to make a title run. You want Colby Covington and Jorge Masvidal to make title runs. You want Derrick Lewis fighting in big fights. You want those guys who know how to work that mic and bring attention to themselves. You want those guys who can sell. Look, Chael Sonnen was talking about this, and it was really cool. I watched an old Joe Rogan podcast with Chael from a few years back, and Chael was talking about he and Vanderlei. And Chael was like, look, Vanderlei, I'm the bad guy. I'm the highest paid fighter in the UFC for a reason. Let me run my mouth. You're going to look like the good guy no matter what. Just trust me. We're going to do. And he was taking us behind the scenes of what that all really worked like. And you're seeing a lot of it with Colby right now. Henry Cejudo with the cringe. These are not their real personalities. It might be like Eminem being Slim Shady, where it's a portion of their personality, but it's brilliant to make that money. Look, you only have a small window in this sport, and it's very small. It's tiny. Think about this for 1 second. That's interesting. We're out on an island over there. That was pretty cool. I like that. Was that Fight Island that we just saw? But I think that you have a small window, and you only have so many fights with which to build your name, build your brand, make your money, set yourself up for another career, for whatever you want to do for the rest of your life. And so that's what Colby's doing. Conor, I believe, was naturally just being Conor. He's brilliant beyond belief, without a doubt. But I do believe he was actually just being Conor. And I think we have another victorious fighter at the podium right now, which would be Phil Hawes, who defeated Imamov by majority decision tonight. That's Phil Hawes, who came in from Dana White's Contender Series. Let's take a listen to some of Phil Hawes' post-fight press conference right here on MMA Weekly.
You see in the third round, my chin. It's all right. It's not bad. So yeah, answered a lot of questions for myself and the doubters. So I'm happy with my performance. I'm just gonna keep going back to the drawing board and stay some things up.
Were you hurt at all?
I wouldn't say hurt. Maybe my equilibrium was a little off, but I was in there enough to get the takedown, so I couldn't do it that way.
In the first round when you got the takedown, did you know from then on, well, this is my route to victory, right? So I can't get nothing?
Yes and no. Wrestling is pretty strenuous activity, so you don't want to just armor wrestle this guy for 15 minutes, because you'll burn yourself out. That's what happened in my prior fight. So when I got the initial takedown, I was like, okay, this feels good, but I don't want to wrestle because I'm a well-rounded fighter, so I don't want to just I'm gonna wrestle this guy. I want to mix in my striking as well.
Good calf kicks early on as well. Was that part of the game plan?
Yeah, that was a big part of the game plan, calf kicks. The way he stands, it's a little more European boxing style, so we picked up on that, and I want to do a lot of calf kicks. But he had a big gaping face, big poker face. It didn't look like it was phasing him too much, and when I tried to go again, it looked like I was might get overextended, so I didn't want to keep going to the well and get counted.
Any damage going forward? Do you think they'll be right? Get back in the gym on Monday? How are you feeling?
I don't know about Monday, maybe Tuesday. Tuesday sounds good.
How quick would you like to get back in there?
ASAP, I got a couple stitches I got to heal up, so I'm thinking maybe 3 weeks, I'll be good.
Congrats.
Thank you.
I I know you said there's a lot of doubters out there that were doubting, you know, whether you had the chin, whether you had the cardio. But is there something, when you get through these fights for yourself as well, you get some confidence out of these as well because you answer some big questions inside as well? Or do you already know, hey, I already have this?
Yeah, I mean, of course, I believe I'm a champion, so I believe I already have this, but it's good to test it. You know, it's good to, okay, now I know I have this, you know. So I proved a lot of doubters wrong, and I proved myself right. So I'm happy with the performance.
I know we had high hopes for you, especially when there was the contender series back in 2017 when we were seeing you and we thought, all right, this is when he's going to make his debut to the UFC. How different of a fighter are you now? Obviously, years have went on, but how different of a fighter are you now from that version that we saw then?
Man, I'm light years ahead of that guy. If you think I'm the same fighter from last week, you know, you got another thing coming. So every day I'm trying to evolve and trying to get better. This is all I do, and this is what I love. I know the window's closing, so I just give this everything I got, and this is my sole purpose in life right now, to become a world champion.
And I know you talked about it a little bit, but give us the game plan. What were you expecting from him to bring in here, and what did he show that maybe played out how you thought it would?
I knew he was a counter striker, so I knew I couldn't get overzealous too quick. I knew I couldn't throw power shots and look to knock him out in the first round because he's looking for that and looking to make me pay. So I knew I was going to attack his lower half. He's taller than me, he was 6'3". I was going to attack his lower half, try to work his body, and just take my time. And I knew wrestling was going to be there for me, you know. I think a lot of people forgot that I'm a Division I wrestler, national champ, you know, because they see knockouts. But I got wrestling in the bag.
So what sort of goals are you setting for yourself for 2021?
Become a world champion.
And I know this is one of those questions where everybody hates to ask or whatever, but the internet's been an internet. Afterwards, after the fight, we always say, you know, it's never easy when you stick a mic in front of a fighter right after a fight, especially after they take some hits. But you made a comment about hoping that some of these possible opponents got COVID and would maybe drop out of the fight. I figure I'd be fair and let you have a chance to maybe talk about that comment, maybe walk it back or do whatever.
Yeah, I apologize. I didn't mean to say for it to come out like that. I was just saying with how everything's crazy in the world, if something were to happen, I would slide in. I would never wish COVID or any illness on any person in the world. I apologize. I got my foot in my mouth for that, and I apologize. I won't ever say that again.
Congrats, man. I appreciate you clarifying that.
Thank you.
This is the sort of knockout Luke Rockhold, Corey Anderson.
We are back. Phil Hawes victorious tonight. Nice performance by him over Nasruddin Imavov, and we got Dawkins with a big win over Alexei Olenek. Jeff and I got to take a pee break. Thank you, Phil. That was good. These 3-hour shows, man, sometimes you just got to jump and run up and go use the bathroom real quick, Jeff. Jeff, can you hear me? I think Jeff is still a little frozen there. We'll get him back as soon as we can. Meanwhile, I'll have the chance to tell you that this is MMA Weekly's live coverage of UFC Fight Night. Blaydes versus Lewis at the apex of MMA in Las Vegas, UFC World Headquarters. And it is powered by CBD Emporium featuring Level Select CBD. CBD Emporium featuring Level Select CBD, the finest CBD products in the world, in the game. 3 levels for 3 levels of pain. Level 1, level 2, level 3. You can figure that out and which ones you need. And it's just sort of like a process of elimination. For me, I like to mix it up. Some days are level 1 days. Some days are level 3 days. In between, you have the 2s, right? You have the cream. You have the roll-ons. You have the tincture that you squirt under your tongue. They have one with melatonin to help you sleep. CBD Emporium has a CBD product with an immune boost in there that I take every day. Their highest concentrations of CBD on the market. Level Select has no THC whatsoever, which if you're wondering what THC is, it's not going to get you high. Think about that for 1 second, right? So there you go. No THC, highest concentrations of CBD on the planet, 3 levels for 3 levels of pain. And right now, you can get 50% off. You will get 50% off with the code MMA50 at stayinthefightmma.com. Go to stayinthefightmma.com. Enter the code MMA50 for 50% off CBD Emporium and Level Select CBD products. Level Select CBD. Stay in the fight. I was just passing out some of that product today up at Fight Ready. I gave Captain Eric Albatacine a little bit of that CBD with the melatonin so he can sleep. Some of his fighters have trouble sleeping, and he goes, "Hey, this is the one that Henry works with, isn't it?" Yes, it is, Captain Eric. It's the one that Henry Cejudo works with. So it's myself and Henry. Level Select CBD. Stay in the fight. Stay in the fight. MMA.com. 50% off with the code MMA50. I think we have Jeff Kane back, and the chat is just going crazy right now, man.
I am back.
As we get closer to the main event, Lewis and Blaydes, man, I'll tell you what, the chat room's coming strong tonight, Jeff. Good job in there, guys.
There you go.
Jeff is frozen with a smile. That's the longest I've ever seen Jeff smile. Leave it there. Leave it there, man. Oh my God, that was great. What movie was that?
Yeah.
Office Christmas Party?
I guess so.
Yeah. I don't know who you pissed off tonight, Jeff. You just keep getting frozen, man. This is Lando setting up Han Solo. Nope. Now we got the co-main event, Ketlin Vieira and Yana Kunitskaya. This is going to be interesting. I'm excited for this one. These ladies looking to take it. And look, the fact that it's a catch weight because Vieira missed weight, that doesn't help her any. But she's looking to make a title run, Jeff. Nope, I don't think this is happening right now. Are you there? We got him?
I am here. I was talking about Fox News earlier this week. Had an hour-long show, 5 guests, and not one of them got to do their interview because they froze. That's where I'm at right now.
Or as Democrats would call it, God being God, right?
So yeah, man.
Yes, one time I'll talk politics on the show here.
Stay.
I like
Hopefully
Yana,
I'll
by the
stick
way.
around,
I've
too.
met her and talked to her. She's a really cool girl. Yana Kunitskaya.
Yeah, the co-main event. This is a big fight, man. You know, this is a big fight. Number 6 and number 7. I don't think there's much room to move up for either one of them, even if they do win. But it's a meaningful fight in the division.
Yana Kunitskaya making the walk right now to the octagon. She is all business. She looks like a female Drago. I mean, I really like her. I've had the chance to talk to her, interview her a couple times, and you know, she's up there high in the rankings, and she's had some really, really big fights in her career. In fact, she's not ranked in the women's pound for pound rankings, but she is ranked in bantamweight. And she is, where is she in the bantamweight division rankings? Yana, number 7, and Ketlin's number 6. Ketlin in the pound for pound is not there either. So neither one of these girls ranked in the pound for pound. But we do have number 7 and number 6 at bantamweight right now.
Yeah, this is a big fight for the middle of that division. Like I said, I don't think that either one of them jump up in the rankings if they win. I think they just switch spots because of who's in front of them. But this is a good fight, man.
Yeah, and Amanda Nunes, that's Chase Johnson in the chat. You're dead on right there, Chase. Nunes is cleaning out both divisions, and he wants to see the Valentina trilogy. I don't know if I want to see the Valentina trilogy with your guns recently because they're both running out of people to fight. But the super fight I want to see on the women's side of things this year is Wei Li and Valentina. But I also can't wait to see Valentina and Andrade because Andrade looks like a beast at 25.
Yeah, that should be a fun fight. Look, I'm fine with Amanda and that trilogy happening as soon, a year from now. I think that Amanda has some fights left in both divisions, and I think that Valentina has a couple of. She's cleared out the division, but there's still a couple of stragglers she could take out. She's got a big test coming up with Jessica. But yeah, man, I agree with you. Valentina kind of has 2 super fights sitting there for the trilogy with Amanda, and then to go down and fight that champion. She's sitting in a good spot right now.
Yeah, and then Wei Li has to fight Thug Rose, man. What's going on with Thug Rose? I want to see her get back in there. She's unbelievable herself. Yeah. I mean, she won the rematch, against Andrade, but now Wei Li's got the belt, and Joanna fought so well against Wei Li You know, I mean, I don't know, man. You can't help but see these fighters fight each other again. Look, Holly Holm's about, she's going to eventually fight fighters that she's already fought and lost to. Amanda might have to fight Holly Holm again. There just aren't enough girls on that level. It's getting better. It's getting there. And Amanda has not only cleaned out 2 divisions, Jeff, she's cleaned out Goat Mountain. She destroyed Ronda. She ended Miesha Tate's career. She beat the crap out of her and choked her out in round 1. She destroyed Ronda. She crushed Holly Holm. She obliterated Cyborg. I mean, this girl, and she's beaten Valentina twice. Amanda Nunes has cleaned out the entire gender in the UFC.
I mean, pretty much, man. Pretty much. Look, that 145-pound division's never been deep. The 135-pound division has been deep. It's just that Amanda's cleared it out, and it doesn't look so deep anymore. There's plenty of great fighters in that division. Just Amanda Nunes is the problem. I think that Valentina is the second best female fighter in the world. And skill set wise, I think that it's arguably she's as good, if not better, than Amanda at certain aspects of the game. But Amanda holds the 2 wins over her, although I think they split in my score.
Man, look at that physique, though. The abs on Valentina. And let's not forget when she fought Amanda twice, like, she's fighting up in weight. She's at 25 or fighting at 35 twice there.
And it's not like those weren't extremely competitive fights. Like I said, I felt like she had Amanda beat. But it is what it is. They'll end up fighting again because of how great both of them are. They're both going to clear out their divisions until there's literally just no one left there. And then there's the trilogy fight.
Man, I'll tell you what, it's unbelievable when you look at Amanda and what she's done. It really is unbelievable. And Megan Anderson is a tough cookie, and that's for the 45 belt. That's coming up in a couple of weeks. That's not going to be an easy night. There's never an easy night. I mean, Jermaine Durandamy gave Amanda everything she can handle last time out for Durandamy. But when I look at what Amanda Nunes has done, and I look at what Valentina has done, they are 2 incredible champions. Wei Li looks great too, but I think she's beatable. I think the 2 greatest female fighters I've ever seen, well, it's tough not to say Cyborg, but Amanda and Valentina are right in there with Chris Cyborg. And Ronda's on the outside looking in. Ronda did more for the sport than any other female fighter, but she's on the outside looking in.
Oh, yeah, Amanda is by far the greatest female fighter ever to fight. Cyborg had a great run, but there wasn't a lot of people for her to fight. And then Amanda just, face planted her, and then Amanda's cleared out the 135-pound division. I don't think that there's an argument against Amanda Nunes being the greatest female fighter ever.
No.
But Valentina's there, man. I mean, if you remove Amanda from the situation, then Valentina's got 2 titles right now in 2 different weight classes, and so she is a great champion as well. She's just not as big as Amanda. And she hasn't been able to overcome Amanda in those fights.
Sorry, Jeff. I had a Tourette's outburst there. That's a nice left hand by Ketlin Vieira, punching into a takedown attempt on Yana Kunitskaya, who, by the way, this is Taekwondo and Muay Thai against Jiu-Jitsu and Judo. Ketlin Vieira, very high-level black belt in Jiu-Jitsu and Judo. She wants to make a statement tonight that she's championship caliber, championship material. Obviously, the one loss that she suffered that doesn't look good on her resume right now is that Irene Aldana. But again, Irene Aldana's top of the tops. She lost to Holly Holm, but that win by Aldana over Vieira got her the fight against Holly, and then she came back and beat Ebanks. Now she's got a takedown on Yana Kunitskaya, who's now not quite on her back, but sitting up against the cage. But when I look at what Ketlin Vieira is trying to do here, trying to prove that she's a serious title challenger, you don't do that by coming in at 138. And making it a catch weight. You don't do this. So this is a good night for Kunitskaya, no matter what, because she's getting a percentage of the money. But if you want to be taken seriously as a title contender, obviously you have to come in on weight. And it's easy for me to say, if I had to do what they have to do, I wouldn't be able to do it so well either. But that's your job, and you got to do it.
Yeah, I mean, it's the most unprofessional thing you can do, right? In my opinion. I mean, you signed a contract and a bout agreement, and then you don't make weight. I mean, you're in breach of contract before the fight even happens. But we're in a different time. Like I said, she's not a person who has habitually missed weight, and so I guess I'm just going to write that off. That she had a bad weight cut. A lot of people had a bad weight cut. She is a very talented fighter, though. I mean, she's been in there with some high level people, the same as Yana has.
Yeah, and Yana's got like the little tennis skirt thing working. I'm anxious to see what happens with the new clothing deal when that takes effect. Oh, nice takedown by Vieira. Oh, wow. That was high level. Highest of the high right there.
Who's the clothing sponsor now?
Isn't it Venom?
Is it? I mean, I didn't know. I mean, I know that they had the Reebok deal. I don't know. I don't.
No, they that one's expiring. And thank God,
Yeah.
because the Reebok the Reebok fight kits, to me, the boat for you've been selling so much more. I just never been a fan of the Reebok stuff.
Well, I like the era where the fighter could show some of their personality with the trunks that they wore. You know, like and the Tiny Tornado always fought in that little skirt whenever she was in Vega. It became her kind of her look, you know. And so did Felice Herrig. You know, Chuck Liddell had the ice short. I mean, Tito Ortiz with the flame shorts. I mean, what shorts are more iconic than Tito's flame ones or Chuck's ice shorts? And yeah, and they don't
They're
exist
hanging
now.
right behind you. They're hanging right behind you over your right shoulder. That's over.
You know, they don't
see your
even
left, guys. You can hardly see it on Jeff. The dartboard's on one side, but if you keep looking over to your left, those are the Iceman's shorts. Which ones are those? Which fight, Jeff?
Those are not fight worn shorts. They were a backup pair.
Which fight? Do you remember? Iceman.tv. On there.
I want to say that Chuck either gave them to me after the Jeremy Horn fight at UFC 54 or the Rampage fight. It was one of those. It was one of those two.
Okay. Meanwhile, I think Mario's comment in the chat was pretty cool, where he says people thought Cyborg is some kind of monster that will wipe down the floor with Nunes. LOL. I remember going into that fight, and I did an event that night, a watch party for my radio show here in Arizona, and I had about 200 people show up, and I had my table full of people, and I think I had about 18 people at my table. I bet every single one at my table $20 a piece. I was going to be out 360 if Cyborg won that fight. I bet every single person that Amanda was going to beat Cyborg. I had known Amanda pretty well. I had done some interviews with her. I thought Cyborg was a step slow. It's never an easy weight cut for her. And I thought Amanda's strength played right into Cyborg's weakness, which was speed. Amanda, in that first round, emptying the guns and coming out with that speed and that power, that was what I was banking on. And I have a video of me somewhere on social media literally walking around the table and just going, I'll take your 20 and your 20 and your 20 and your 20. But I remember watching that fight. I vaulted off a chair. This is how crazy I get watching fights. I'm at a Cold Beers and Cheeseburgers, which is a sports bar, and I literally run to the chair. I push myself up off the chair and leap across the room as Amanda's just beating the crap out of Cyborg. That was a really, really exciting moment. Number one, because it was intense, and Cyborg was throwing everything she had at her. It was two women in there just like going back and forth, like Gotti and Ward in there, right? And then all of a sudden, you see the end of that greatness of Cyborg, and everything came crashing down that night. And Amanda was so gracious, as she always is, about it, but that was one of the single greatest performances I've ever seen in combat sports by Amanda Nunes that night over Cyborg.
I mean, she put in a really good performance. I think what the biggest key in that fight was when Amanda hit Chris, because Chris is an alpha female, man. She has to get it back immediately. You know, she can't just rotate off and reset and do this again. She has to bite down on her mouth guard and start firing combinations back. And that's what got her killed. You know, that's what got her face planted. She got hit the first time. She was fine after that. Had she just circled away and okay, Amanda's faster than I thought. But she did not do that. She stood in the pocket with Amanda, firing back, leaving openings, and got knocked out.
Probably round one to Vieira. What do you think, Jeff? Oh, she's coming right at her, aggressive again.
Yeah.
They're big for 35ers. I mean, they're thick and solid, a lot of muscle. These girls are strong. Oh, you don't want to give her your arm like that. Interesting. And I mean, Josria says, I miss watching Misha Tate. There's Cyborg right there on your screen next to Paige Van Zandt. Why Paige Van Zandt was ever on that stage is beyond me. Well, actually, it's not beyond me, but she didn't belong there from a performance standpoint. Let's just say that. But I look at, and that's not a shot at her. It sounds like it. Actually, it is. But I think that we all know why she was up there. But when I look at Kunitskaya now in top position on the ground. But when I think about Cyborg's era in the UFC, she didn't ever really get the respect she deserved. And you look at the women's side of things and what she did to Gina Carano, who found herself back in the news lately. I remember everybody was Carano this, Carano that. Cyborg destroyed Gina Carano back in the day. Was that Elite XC? Was that Strike Force? I can't remember. It was Elite XC, wasn't it? Or was it Strike Force?
Yep. No, it was Elite XC.
Yeah. It was Elite. Yeah. And same one when Kimbo fought Petrozelli. Same yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So but anyway,
Gary
when
Shaw,
I look at
boxing promoter, right?
Yep. And so one thing that really, who put that? Chase Johnson said that Cyborg went full Cody Garbrandt mode. That's a good way to put it. When you talked about her swinging back wildly, that's why Cody got knocked out by Munoz.
Yeah, except that it's Cyborg mode. Cody just goes Chris Cyborg mode.
Okay, all right, we'll go that route. Meanwhile, I want to do a roll call, Jeff. Where are you guys from? Everybody in the chat, we want to hear where you're from right now. Where are you guys watching us from tonight? We got more people in there than we've had all night long. And Jeff, one night, and while everybody does that in the chat and lets us know where they're from, where they're watching tonight, Kunitskaya is still working top position with about 3 minutes left in round 2 against Ketlin Vieira. And she's got to watch it here that she doesn't get triangled and armbarred. That's not a good position to be in against a high-level black belt in jiu-jitsu. There is no good position to be in on the ground against a high-level black belt in jiu-jitsu. But, Jeff, one night, and it was kind of funny, but Miesha Tate was fighting Ronda Rousey. I was sitting cage side. I forget what year it was, but Miesha comes out to this Katy Perry song. I got the eye of the tiger. I am a champion. You're going to hear me. And she's bouncing with her little pigtails. And then Ronda's like, I don't give a damn about my reputation. That the angry scowl. Just the 2 songs. And you just know, man, Ronda's going to kill her. And she did.
Yeah, I mean, she beat her twice by armbar. Yeah, man, Miesha Tate. I was actually at Miesha Tate's professional debut in Evansville, Indiana. She got knocked out by Caitlin Young, is who it was. She got knocked out by Caitlin Young. High kick. Yeah, man, I like Miesha Tate.
Ground and pound. You like Miesha Tate? Yeah, she's great. She brought a lot to the sport. We definitely miss her. Uh-oh. Watch the ankle lock. Uh-oh. Oop. Okay.
She get her legs.
This is a good fight, Jeff. This is a good fight, man.
Yeah. But see, people don't remember the Miesha Tate and Ronda Rousey. The first fight, Ronda shouldn't even have been in that fight. Ronda talked herself into that fight. Nobody wanted to see that fight. Like, nobody cared who Ronda Rousey was. And then she started calling out Miesha Tate. And then all of a sudden it became crazy. And then Ronda went on social media and was like, why not put us both against each other, blah, blah, blah. And it worked. And then she won. And that made Ronda Rousey, basically. The calling out Miesha Tate, which is weird because they're the biggest rivals. But Miesha Tate put Ronda Rousey over in a lot of ways.
Yeah, and it was cool for Miesha to get that title over Holly. Holly didn't tap. She got choked out. And, you feel bad for Holly Holm. You thought Holly Holm was going to have a long reign after what she did to Ronda. But Miesha with the choke out there, and then Amanda Nunes at UFC 200 just obliterated Miesha. I mean, she beat the ever-loving crap out of her and then choked her out. That was one of the most one-sided, vicious beatdowns I've ever seen. And to Miesha Tate's credit, she took a lot more of it from Amanda than Cyborg and Ronda combined. Her chin was amazing that night, but she got blasted all over that octagon, the yellow octagon at UFC 200 for that whole first round. And speaking of being blasted on the octagon, Yana Kunitskaya has done a great job in this round of just literally working top position and pounding on Ketlin Vieira. We're hitting toward the end of the round now, but it looked like Vieira maybe won the first round 10-9. Kunitskaya evening things up here in round 2.
Yeah, it's an even fight heading into the third round. And look, this is a competitive fight, right? It's number 6 and 7 in the world. It's close.
Yana just mean mugged her going back to the corner. This is going to be an interesting third round, Jeff. You had Vieira in the first round, getting the takedown and then working up in the clinch and landing some shots. Then you had Kunitskaya with the takedown and working the ground and pound and fending off several very, very high-level submission attempts from Ketlin Vieira as well.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, Yana's got tons of experience. I mean, both of these women have a lot of experience. They've been in there with top competition. They're they're ranked 1-6 and 1-7. This is a competitive fight. This is or what I've seen so far. We've seen Ketlin have her way in the first round a little bit, and then you saw Yana make adjustments and have her way in the second. Now we're going out here in the third and going to see what happens.
So we have the UK, we have Australia, we have Spain, we have Cali, Texas, we have Lakehurst Air Force Navy Army Base, F. Nunu. Thank you for your service.
Nice.
Appreciate you. We got Oakland, Oaktown in the house. A little Too Short going on there. A little Digital Underground, little young Tupac in the Bay Area. What else we got from Oakland? No more Raiders. When Holly lost, it was something similar to Pickett and Chito Vera. Remember offhand, made myself look like a fool. Ronda took this too personal. Josefria Rodriguez, who's from Spain, says Holly was winning, then got choked out crazy. Yeah. And somebody wrote a while back, and I just wanted to make sure that I did mention this because it was dead on by Mario Nitu. He said one factor that played the most in Cyborg's fights was the fact that she was cutting so much weight, even to 45, and that's true. And Vieira with a takedown, Jeff. But Cyborg did cut an obscene. I mean, if you've seen what Cyborg, you've seen the videos of her cutting weight, it is not pretty. It's like watching people starve to death in those old Ethiopia commercials when they used to ask us to donate.
Yeah, Cyborg's a big girl, man. And fit as could be. There's not much body fat there at all. I've stood next to Cyborg. I've covered Cyborg through several different promotions, and stood right next to her, and she's bigger than me, man. Every aspect of her is bigger than me, and that was kind of
next to her too.
Yeah, how is she bigger than you?
Yo, she's big. She's a big woman and just strong. And also, I will say, very, very sweet and very nice. I really liked her.
Oh, 100%. 100%. I think that people saw the muscles in Cyborg and they get some kind of weird impression about her. Chris Cyborg's the most respectful, or one of the most respectful, kindest fighters in the sport, but she's big. And when I met Miesha Tate, because I've met her several times as well, she's a lot bigger than I thought she was going to be. And Ronda was smaller than I thought she was going to be. As crazy as that sounds. But Cyborg, I was really taken back at just how big of a specimen that she is, man. I mean, her shoulders. I was like, hell, I was intimidated. I was intimidated by her.
Yana's in big trouble, Jeff. Kunitskaya is in big trouble. Vieira's got her pinned up against the fence. There's 3 minutes left.
A lot of time.
Was working for a joke.
Left.
She doesn't have it. She's got full mount here, though, and you got a black belt in jiu-jitsu with 2 minutes and 50 seconds left just on top of you, looking for submission after submission after submission. And Yana's fighting hard from the bottom, but she's got her work cut out for her to try to get up here. And the worst thing you could do is give up your back.
Yes, or one of her arms. This mount position leaves Vieira, especially with her ground skills. She's in a good position on mount, man. Opens up a lot of things. She's going to I'm guessing she's going to soften Yana up here until Yana gives up her back.
It was basically Pickett winning the entire fight, and then Chito head kicked him in the last minute. Okay, that's Mario. Yeah, it's kind of like Yair and the zombie.
I actually do remember that fight now that he said that. Yeah, look, Holly Holm was winning that fight, but Miesha Tate, man, Miesha Tate's tough as hell. I mean, that first Ronda fight, whenever her arms just dislocated. Oh, here we go. We got a fighter on the stage.
Yeah. I was gonna debate whether or not to send it to the podium or not because this fight right here is under 2 minutes and it's exciting. And then we have Derrick Minner, who dominated Charles Rosa at the podium. What do you think, Jeff? Podium or keep breaking down this fight live? It's the co-main with 145 left.
I think we need to go up here and hear a little bit of what he has to say at least.
All right, let's go to Derrick Minner on the podium. Our MMA Weekly cameras right there at the Apex in Vegas. Derrick Minner with a big win over Charles Rosa tonight.
Few arm triangles that were super tight. From his previous fights, that you don't get tapped in very often. But I don't know if he's a fish or what, but damn, that dude can hold his breath.
I was gonna say you had to numerous times and it looked like it was game over and you just sort of managed to stick in there.
It was tight. I swear he was like one of those numbers. So he's just a tough SOB, man. I'm glad I can get in there and show. Even though I have so many fights, I'm new here. And I belong here, and that's all there is to it. So I'm here to stay.
Did you know it was going to be a bit of a scrap going in? You know his reputation, right?
I tell you guys, this fight went down to the T how we thought it was going to go. guarantee. I knew, like, I'm not saying that, I wasn't going to go for the finish because that's what I was doing, but we knew how it was going to go. I tell you, 2 hours before the fight, James Krause said exactly how it was going to go to achieve. And that's how it went.
You say James Krause is getting a bit of a reputation.
I mean, I've been at this shit a long time, and I've just been with him for two fight camps, and we're the most underrated team in the world, and we have the best coach in the world.
Yeah, you guys put together a stellar roster.
And Kevin Crew next week, underdog, I'm sure. He's going to pull off the win too.
What do you want to do next? How soon do you want to get back in there? Is there a name that you want next?
Whoever I don't say no to fights. Whoever they want me to fight, I'll fight. I'm sure we'll be in touch.
Whoa!
You're not you're not muted, Jim. Just bust it out.
No, that's okay. I'm not muted. I'm excited, man. We're listening to Derrick Minner and a great performance. No disrespect to him, but Yana Kunitskaya just reversed position from being on bottom for most of the third round. Less than 30 seconds left. She literally flips over and beats the crap out of Ketlen Vieira. A bloody mess. Was it enough to win the decision? The end of that third round, Jeff, violence. Yana Kunitskaya, oh my God, elbows and punches and just literally beating. Oh, just a great, because Ketlen she does what jiu-jitsu girls do. She's just laying there and trying to hold her and work chokes and keep her down on the ground. That was her best chance to win. But Yana was able to reverse it and go ground and pound. She went ham on her at the very end. Very entertaining finish to that fight. I don't like it. See, if I were a judge, I would penalize fighters for just laying on the ground for that long. I mean, it's right, and it wouldn't be fair. But to me, I don't like it. I mean, if you're not actively, and she was actively trying for submissions, but for the most part, she was hoping to just hold her there and grind out the win, literally. So I'm very glad that Yana was able to flip her over and punch her and elbow her a bunch of times and take 20% of her money.
Wow.
Nothing against Ketlen. I just don't like that style. It's a jiu-jitsu thing. I like it, but it's just, I don't like it when you just lay there and try to hold someone down to win the fight. Not my thing.
Well, you're waiting for them to make a mistake. You're waiting for them to do something, put an arm out, try to post up, or anything really to open up the first position, and you're going to be real patient about it. But yeah, man, I hear you. Props for Kunitskaya for being able to reverse that at late in the round and kind of get some of that back. We'll see what the judges say here.
Oh, yeah, those elbows literally just opened. Oh, there it is. Oh, woo, that elbow just opened her right up. Right up. I'm gonna listen to the decision here in a second, Jeff, but that was a big time elbow. I don't know if it was enough, though. I don't know if it's enough. I think that Vieira might still win this fight based on that third.
Yeah,
it's unanimous.
Uh-oh.
All right, well, Yana won by unanimous decision, 29-28 across the board. So I guess they did give her that third round. And Ketlen didn't really do much with the top position and being on the ground in that third round. So I have to think that she won the first, right? And that Yana won the last two.
Yeah, I had Ketlen win in the first. I had Vieira win in the first round. Yana win in the second, and in the third, I don't know. It's 3 minutes, 3+ minutes of top control versus 30 seconds of ground and pound. I don't. Apparently, and the judges sided with the ground and pound, right? That's basically.
Well, no, went. You miss weight. You're 3 pounds over. It was really. It was a good fight. Yeah. No, I understand. But you're 3 pounds over, and you know what I mean. Like, to me, you're not in the best shape, and then you lose it at the end of the third round, and the girl outworks you at that. To me, it all goes hand in hand. Yeah, and when you land 16 strikes, Jeff, she landed 16 strikes to 178. And she did, hold that position on the ground, but clearly Yana was landing at, not at will, but she landed a ton of shots in this fight.
Well, she landed a lot of shots in the second round. And then right there at the end of the third.
Those elbows that she was throwing into the body. Ooh. You got to rewatch this fight, guys, if you didn't see it. Just the elbows to the body, the elbows to the head, just violence from Yana. She fought Cyborg. She's a beast. I like her. She's a really good fighter. And nothing against Ketlen. She's extremely high level. But her goals coming into UFC Vegas 19 to, to arrive on the scene and be in the title picture, they took a detour with coming in overweight and then losing to Yana.
I mean, she's gonna drop just a spot though, probably. They're just gonna switch spots, and so she's just gonna have to go out and get a big win, a solid win in her next fight. But yeah, big win for Yana. Big win for her. She's going to jump up to 6th at least in the rankings, and it improves her record to 4-2 in the UFC. So she got kind of off to a rocky start there at the beginning.
Yeah, and she did a lot on the feet, and Bisping was just asking her, and I had to mute it because I'm coming back on here, but Bisping was talking about how much of the camp was dedicated to defense because her submission defense was fantastic tonight. It was she was and had a lot of control on the ground. She had a lot of control on the ground tonight in this fight, and she was unable to work that submission against Yana Kunitskaya, which won her the fight just as much as the striking did. So the submission defense was fantastic.
Yeah, it looked like she just didn't make those huge mistakes, and give up her neck or give up her back or leave an arm out there. She stayed composed in bad positions. She was mounted. She stayed composed. Yeah, I mean, that's a big win for Yana. I mean, that's a big win. But both of those women needed to win that fight. Yana's the one that took it, and now she's going to move up a little bit in the rankings, and then Vieira's going to drop, and then have to, like I said before, she's just going to have to go back to the drawing board and be more active on the ground. I guess is what is the key here, is to be more active on the ground. At least pepper them to the body with punches and stuff,
Yeah, it's a punch, and she tried punching into takedowns. She did some good things in there. Ketlin did, and I don't mean to make it seem like I don't like her. I think I did. It was a little harsh on her, but you miss weight by 3 pounds, and you're talking about being a title contender. That's just tough for me to swallow. But Ketlin Vieira was a big favorite in this fight, Jeff. So minus 270 coming in. I mean, that's a pretty big. And Charles Rosa was a big favorite in this fight, and so Minner and Yana screwed up some cards tonight, some betting cards.
I mean, we talked about that Yana and Derrick Lewis are live dogs, man. They were live dogs heading into the night, and Yana come through. Dog. Yeah, and she come through. That fight actually went pretty much the way that we called it, except I felt like Vieira was going to be able to do more from the top.
So Taki says disgrace of a decision. Interesting. The Octagon, Jeff. You know what I just realized? We're minutes away from Curtis Blaydes and Derrick Lewis. We're minutes away from Curtis Blaydes and Derrick Lewis, and it's in the small cage. It is in the small cage, which is unbelievable. If you notice, it's a 25-foot cage. It's such a different. Guys are giant heavyweights. They're as big as they get.
Oh yeah, that small cage they use on a lot of these fight nights. It promotes a more exciting fight. There's nowhere to run. You can't run from anybody. There's nowhere to go. I like the smaller octagon for the smaller fighters. I don't know about for the bigger fighters, but that's what we're in tonight. So we'll see. We'll see. Nowhere to hide in the small octagon.
No, and Taki says that she was on her back for 7 minutes. So 7 minutes of ground control for Vieira in that fight. That's half the fight, man. And most of the shots that Yana landed were from her back. So that's true. But she landed a ton of shots, 178-16 striking wise. And then she was able to fend off the submissions. And man, that's it was 29-28. All 3 judges saw it the same.
Yeah, I mean, it's a decision loss. I mean, it's not a bad loss for us. The number 6th ranked female lost to the number 7th ranked female. That's not a bad loss, and by decision at that. So it's not like Vieira is going to go dropping like a rock, and this is going to devastate her career or anything. She took an L though. Oh man, look at these guys.
Let's look at these guys, Jeff. We got 515 pounds right there. We got 264 from Lewis and about 258 from Blaydes. And I should note and just point out that it is Black History Month. And the UFC did a nice feature with Michael Chandler and his son, who adopted a black baby, which is the coolest thing in the world. And Mike Chandler's a great dude. But I really do think it's cool in a month where we celebrate Black history that these 2 fighters tonight make some of that history. two heavyweights, both top 5 guys, headlining in a 5-rounder, a UFC fight card during Black History Month. To me, that's just really cool. And I'm very happy for Derrick Lewis and Curtis Blaydes that they're in this position. But I'm happy as a fan because I get to see these two guys fight. But I just think that I had to point that out because it's not lost on me that in a month like this and in a year like last year that we had with so much division unnecessarily in this country, that, you know, we have these two guys headlining this card tonight. We had Angela Hill against the Karate Hottie, become the first African-American female fighter to headline a card last year. And, you know, I mean, to me, look, they're just great fighters. It doesn't matter if you're purple or yellow or pink, what color you are. But in a month like that, like this, and the climate that we kind of created in this country, not we, but you know what I'm saying, that was created in this country last year, it's really cool to see these two guys headlining this fight card tonight.
Yeah, I mean, this is a big fight. It is Black History Month. These guys are making history tonight. And yeah, it was props to the UFC for recognizing fighters. And as you brought up, Angela Hill, first African-American female fighter to headline a UFC card, period. Yeah, man. I mean, the historical relevance is not lost on me at all. But man, this is a big fight. This is a big fight.
Making his way to the octagon for his
that was me by accident. Sorry. This is Derrick Lewis walking to the octagon. He's from New Orleans, lives in Houston. I want to hit you guys up in the chat room right now. It's way up. The numbers going through the roof, man. Like, I was just going to make a bad joke. I'm not going to do it. I don't want the cancel culture coming after me. But think of it this way, guys. We have Derrick Lewis and Curtis Blaydes about to enter the octagon and throw down with one another. Is it the big black beast with those big bombs of a right hand and the underrated submission and takedown defense? Is it Curtis Blaydes with those relentlessly just smashing Hulk slam takedowns and the 10 knockouts of his own? Who do you guys have in the chat? Who do you guys have in the chat right now? Who do you guys have in the chat? Who are you picking? Are you picking Curtis Blaydes? Are you picking Derrick Lewis? What round? How? Why? Let us have it right there in the chat. It's MMA Weekly's live coverage of UFC Vegas 19. Curtis Blaydes, Derrick Lewis. It's powered by CBD Emporium, featuring Level Select CBD, the cleanest, purest, most unbelievable CBD products on the planet. 3 levels for 3 levels of pain. Also anxiety. They help you sleep better. Night in and night out, I sleep like a baby. I don't wake up in the middle of the night anymore, not even to pee, which at 49 is unbelievable. It doesn't happen anymore since I started taking these products, Jeff. And right now, because you know us, because we like you, because you're fans of the show and this sport, CBD Emporium and Level Select CBD are hooking you up with 50% off. That's half for you math majors out there. 50% off. Use the code MMA50 at StayInTheFightMMA.com. StayInTheFightMMA.com. The code MMA50 for CBD Emporium featuring Level Select CBD. Stay in the fight. And Jeff, we got a lot of people hitting us up in the chat right now. Let's see. Blaydes, Lewis, lethal hands. Lewis, round 3 TKO. Blaydes, second round KO. Black Beast, Blaydes by ground and pound. I think Blaydes with a KO. Lewis in the second. Lewis in the third. Lewis wins this. Blaydes probably going to win, but I'm rooting for Lewis. Lewis, second round. I'm no math major myself, and as I'm ripping those off and reading them, it's about 50-50.
Yeah. Yeah. That's, Lewis has that equalizing knockout power, and Blaydes, it's got to be real careful with that. I picked Blaydes. You picked Blaydes in this fight. Vitor Belfort picked Blaydes. We'll see. Yep. We're about to find out, Jim.
Vitor Belfort picked Blaydes in the interview I did with him today. You're going to want to check that out this coming week on MMA Weekly, as well as my interview that I just did with Patricio Pitbull about the $1 million bet with his coach, Captain Eric Albatacine. We've got the UFC Fallout show tomorrow, 3 Eastern, 12 Pacific. Man, we got some content coming your way. Some great things happening here on MMA Weekly, the most trusted source for news and entertainment and MMA for almost 20 years, as Curtis Razor Blaydes makes his way to the octagon and apex to fight Derrick Lewis. I can't wait. Oh, my God, I'm excited. I literally am like a kid in a candy store. And if you follow my social media, and you'll know, people in my life think I'm a lunatic. I'm the guy who stands up and screams at the TV. I can't stand doing events during these fights sometimes because people want to have the sound off when I'm on location. I'm like, how are you going to have the sound off when you're watching this fight? And even when it's not Joe Rogan, how are you going to have the sound off, man. The big boy hitting the octagon right now, 515 pounds of all male. Just, it's testosterone flying everywhere. It's the big boys. Both of them are looking for a finish. Lewis on the feet. Blaydes probably on the ground, but he can do it on the feet. Both of them looking to make an emphatic statement at the top of the heavyweight division. This is what we live for. This is why we do this. And this is that little extra special side of it, Jeff. When you think about it, there's that much more of a buzz, that much more of that feeling that you get, the tingling, the hair standing up. If I had hair, that's because these are the heavyweights. There is just something about a heavyweight fight that no other division can touch.
Yeah, it's the power, you know. I mean, all it takes is one. All it takes is one, and we all know that, man. I mean, that's why we're all saying that this is a pick'em fight in a way. The odds are in Blaydes' favor. I picked Blaydes to win by ground and pound. I'm not sure. I don't think this fight sees the end of the third round, but we'll see, man. I mean, this could end. Lewis predicted that this fight will end in the first exchange.
Well, I'm going to tell you this right now. I got a couple things to say about this fight real quick. Curtis Blaydes has 59 takedowns, the most in heavyweight history. 55.7% accuracy on his takedowns, which means he sticks 55% of his attempted takedowns. He does have 10 knockouts. Derrick Lewis has 11 knockouts, which is the most in UFC heavyweight history. If Blaydes knocks Lewis out, he has 11, right? But Derrick Lewis has 11 in the UFC. He's got way more than that overall, so that number's safe for a while. But the one that might not be safe, Vitor Belfort has 12. That's the most in UFC history. Derrick Lewis knocks out Blaydes tonight. He ties Vitor.
Yeah, interesting little stats. Interesting little stats there. I thought it would be more than that, than 11 or 12, honestly. But it's not. That's what it is.
263 and 259 are the weights. 6'3 and 6'4 the heights. So Lewis 6'3, 263. Blaydes 6'4, 259. 80-inch reach for Blaydes, 79 for Lewis, 36 years old. Derrick Lewis, 30. Curtis Blaydes just hitting his prime. What a moment for Joe Martinez to announce this fight tonight. These two giants in the heavyweight division, number 2 and number 4. Which guy is going to take another step toward getting in line behind John Jones, Stipe, and Ngannou for that belt? Will it be Lewis? Will it be Blaydes? Last second, guys in the chat room to let us know. And we have Yana at the podium. Oh, my God, this is torture. But we have to go to Yana at the podium for at least a couple of minutes. Here's Yana Kunitskaya, who defeated.
But I found that I can punch even from there. When she takes my back, for example, I still can beat her. And like, yeah, man, so yes, I was surprised.
Obviously, when it goes to the judge's decision, we're never sure, but were you confident that you won the fight?
I know when fight finished, I felt that for myself that I won this fight. I did enough. I got more damage for her, but you know sometimes it's a strange decision. But Thiago came to me and said congratulations, and I thought, but maybe I didn't won, and he said no, you won. And this time I was believed to him, and I was just waiting presents.
That's awesome. So who would you like to fight next?
Anyone who above me in the ranking, I will be happy with this fight.
Congratulations on the win.
Thank you.
If you could kind of break down for us, what was the game plan going into this fight, and how closely did that play out there in the cage?
Game plan was standing, punching, kicking, and trying not to go in the ground. And if in the ground, try to punch from any position. So I didn't do very good my first part. Sometimes I did mistakes and go on the ground, but I did pretty good and punch her from any position. And it's how I feel that I won this fight, because I was keep active from any position, and when she take my back, I was active and punching.
Was there anything about anything that you surprised about there?
No, I was preparing for the things. I was a little bit surprised that from some positions she didn't punch me, and I was thinking she a little bit more strong physical. You know, I was preparing for this camp. One of my sparring partner was Kayla Harrison, and she is like really strong girl. So I was preparing opponent, not like moving and so I was a little bit surprised.
And lastly, 2021, how many more times?
We're going to take it back from the podium to live coverage, because we got Lewis and we got Blaydes just getting it started in the main event. No disrespect to Yana. It's kind of hard to understand what she's saying right now, but Blaydes and Lewis, it's underway, Jeff. It is underway. These two guys are massive. Oh, Blaydes better be careful. He almost walked into a truck right there.
Blaydes got to be real careful all throughout this fight. I mean, that's the thing with Derrick Lewis, man. Just takes one from him, particularly him. We'll see, man. Yep, we're underway. Both guys are in the octagon. Big. They look so much bigger in the smaller octagon too. There's nowhere to go.
Huge, man, huge. I thought Derrick Lewis was maybe shooting for a takedown real quick for a minute there. Both guys kind of dancing. I don't want this to turn into the Lewis and Ngannou fight where they just dance around each other all night because they respect each other's power so much. I don't think Blaydes is gonna let that happen. Coming off the Volkov performance where Dana called him out and said basically you ain't getting a title shot unless you show me a lot more. Both guys are looking for finishes in this fight, but so far just kind of feeling each other out, and that can change in a hurry, as you know, in the heavyweight division. Man, both guys throwing hard.
I know. And Lewis will let you kind of go have a slower pace if you want it. You know, he doesn't usually press the pace against you, except at certain points. He fights in spurts. Blaydes is going to have to take the fight to Lewis.
Yeah, and Blaydes is definitely the more active fighter right now, dancing around, moving around, and he's got to watch out conserving his energy a little bit here too. Because if he wants to win on the ground and then the sweatier they get, it's harder to take him down. But you can have an adrenaline dump in a big fight like this. Easy for me to give him advice. He's the pro fighter, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, completely. I mean, he wants to make Lewis work a little bit. You know, you want to kind of wear Lewis down a little bit. It takes away his power. But you got to press him enough to do that.
Man, they're still just kind of feeling each other out. Not a lot of action so far in this fight. And, you know, when you have that kind of respect for the other guy's power, sometimes that happens, right?
Yeah, well, it's hard to commit and put yourself in a spot where you might get countered against these guys. This is a big fight. This is a meaningful fight. This is at the top of the division. And so both guys are just not going to do anything stupid early. You know, don't walk into something. So right now you're going to have them fill each other out. This is common for a big high-profile fight, you know. They don't just come running out and start Masvidal on you with flying knees. They've taken their time.
Yep, and Lewis just slipped twice in the octagon. That's worth noting. It's kind of slick in there, and it caused him to take a couple of shots. He's definitely slipped a couple of times trying to throw, and Blaydes is being smart. He's throwing some leg kicks as well, trying to take some of that power from Lewis by kicking that lead leg. You've seen that all the time. It's what, you know, Poirier did to McGregor. Another calf kick. He's hit about 4 of them on Lewis so far.
Yeah. Did he step on a logo? I mean, some of those logos are pretty slick, man.
Yeah, it's paint. Pretty much.
Yeah. And so it has
we used to have stickers.
Yeah.
We used to have stickers on some of the local and regional shows I did that would, those stickers were crazy because they're literally just plastic.
Yeah. So it just kind of depends. But yeah, he needs to put some water on the ground in between rounds here and step in it.
Oh, Blaydes landing some big shots and then kicked his leg out as Lewis was going backward. Man, Blaydes looks good, Jeff.
Yeah, I mean, but this is what Lewis does, you know. Lewis has taken damage early in fights, and he's looked bad early in fights. And then here in a minute, he's going to explode. He's going to explode with a flurry, and Blaydes is going to have to hope that he doesn't connect with it. But yeah, Blaydes is doing what he should be doing. He's taking the fight to Lewis, and he's mixing things up.
Yeah, he hit him with a flying knee and a big elbow too. I mean, this is definitely Blaydes is imposing his will a little bit so far. Lewis isn't hurt or anything like that. He just ate a jab down the middle. But Blaydes looks quicker. He looks more active. And that leg kick, that calf kick is causing Lewis problems already.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying is Lewis has taken enough damage and taken enough shots in the leg kicks where he's going to explode here in a minute because he's going to have to get him out of there. Because if the fight keeps going this way, it's a one-sided Blaydes fight.
And then there was an eye poke, maybe. Lewis got poked in the eye with under 10 seconds left in the round. Blaydes coming in for a takedown. He definitely got poked in the eye.
Mm-hmm. So they've stopped it right now to check his eye?
Let's see what happened here. He went to try to trip him and take him down. I think Lewis is all right. He definitely got poked in the eye, though.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's good for Lewis. I mean, he gets to take a little break here at the end of the round and then get the break between the rounds. So this could work in his favor.
Blaydes throws him a little high five there, like no harm, no foul type of thing. And there's the end of round one. So the round definitely, I would say, Jeff, goes to Blaydes. For sure.
Yeah.
He was very active. He landed a lot of those calf kicks. He hit Lewis with some pretty good shots. He was very active, throwing knees, elbows. And Lewis didn't let those hands go much in that round, which, is pretty common for him. We've seen that a lot of times during his fights. So, man, I mean, that's pretty good. I mean, that's pretty much what you expected to see in round one, right? Except for the fact that it took until about, 4 minutes, 50 seconds for Blaydes to shoot a takedown.
Yeah, I mean, Blaydes is going to need to mix it up. And so, yeah, I showed him his striking in the first round, mixed in a takedown late. But this is common out of Lewis. We kind of see Lewis do this a little bit. Now he's going to try to make an adjustment and do something big here in the second round. But right now, Blaydes is dictating the pace. Blaydes is the one taking the fight to Lewis, and he's winning the fight right now.
Yeah, he is.
But Lewis, like I said, he's never out of a fight, Jim. He's never out of a fight. So
without a doubt,
we'll see what happens. See what happens with Blaydes here in the second round if he's able to continue to kind of have his way with Lewis a little bit.
Why did Herb just send them back? Lewis let a big right go. Blaydes is quick, man. Now he's going for a takedown. Just punching into it. He's got that big left leg of Lewis. Lewis is so strong, though. So strong. Good takedown defense by Lewis.
Yeah, Lewis is hard to get down.
Blaydes
He's a big, strong guy.
Yeah, and Blaydes throwing some mean elbows.
Yeah. But Lewis, like you said, Lewis is not easy to take down, and he's even harder to keep down.
Go ahead, Jeff. Sorry.
I was saying that Lewis
again. You
is
see
hard
that lead
to
leg?
down,
Slip.
and then he's, yeah.
Yeah.
It's not what you want to see. That's a distraction.
Hard to get down, harder to take down.
Yeah. You definitely don't want to be slipping in there. It's just a distraction, and it starts to, you start to think about that instead of the fight.
Well, also, I mentioned it earlier, but the more sweaty these guys get, the harder it is with the ground stuff. Oh, Blaydes just got hammered. Oh! Oh! Derrick Lewis. Good Lord. Wow. Wow, Jeff. I mean, I didn't describe that, so we're not doing live play-by-play, but I think you guys get the gist. Curtis Blaydes is still out. I mean, he just got wrecked by Derrick Lewis. Wrecked.
What I'm saying.
By Derrick Lewis.
That's what I said. I mean, somebody, that's the underdog. Both of the live dogs came through, Jim. Both of the bets that we said people should throw money down on came through.
Oh, he took two big shots on the ground after. See, this is where Herb should have jumped in. He shot for a takedown on that lead leg, and Lewis had clearly drilled this. Lewis came with a low uppercut and hit him right square. Boom. Lewis changed levels, came up with an uppercut, laid him out cold, and then blasted him twice on the ground where it happened so fast before Herb Dean could even stop it. Those shots weren't even necessary. Blaydes was out before he hit the ground.
Yeah, I mean, that's what Lewis does, man. That's what Lewis does. He lost the first round, kind of one-sided. And then he comes back. I said he was going to have to do something quick because he couldn't continue to take those leg kicks, and he was taking some shots as well. And boy, did he come big. Did he come big.
Guess what? He tied Vitor, and the chat room's going crazy right now. He tied Vitor, Jeff, and our chat numbers just went through the roof. But Derrick Lewis, I mean, he clearly drilled it. So I can't show you. I'm in a tiny little square here, but see, these are my hands. This is Blaydes going in for a takedown like this, right? You see that? Derrick Lewis drops the shoulder, comes up with an uppercut, perfectly placed, a very low uppercut. Outstanding job by Lewis and his team getting ready for that takedown attempt. As soon as Blaydes shot it, Lewis instinctively came with that uppercut straight up when his head was in the – it was pinpoint precision. It was just like the flying knee that Masvidal hit Askren with from the standpoint of perfect timing, perfect opportunity, perfect execution, perfect placement, and Blaydes literally was out before he even came close to hitting the ground. Wow, what a win for
Yeah,
Lewis.
it was just yeah, I mean
So
that's
much for the Jones
the
trilogy.
fight changed. Yep, so much for yeah, they're not going to be rivals unless Blaydes doesn't. Oh man, I'm just watching the replay. Oh, he was out.
And
I mean,
Blaydes
he's
doesn't know
out
where he
as
is.
soon as it hits him. Yeah, I mean, he was
Yeah,
out as
he's
soon as it
finding
hits
out what
him.
happened right now. He's literally finding out what happened. Ryan Bader told me that one time when he got knocked out by Lyoto Machida, who was fighting again in the tournament, by the way. He said that he woke up and he's like, hey, did I win? And they go, no. And so Blaydes kind of had one of those moments right there. And you hope he's okay because he did. He literally got knocked out cold by Derrick Lewis.
Yeah, I mean, he's out from the uppercut. I mean, he's done. And then he gets hit with another big shot, but he's flattened. I mean, stiff on the ground, out, completely removed from his faculties. Crazy. That's the power that Derrick Lewis has. You know, that's the equalizer. It doesn't matter what your pedigree is. It doesn't matter what your record is. It doesn't matter what color your belt is. When Derrick Lewis hits you with that right hand, you are done. You are absolutely done. That was crazy.
Number 20 for the career of Derrick Lewis. 20 knockouts, 12 now in the UFC, tied for the most in UFC history with Vitor Belfort. But Curtis Blaydes went out, no doubt. 126 round 2, the official time. So now the live dogs, Yana and Derrick Lewis, who was plus 300 in this fight, they come through big tonight. And look, it's a heavyweight fight, and Derrick Lewis just brought the thunder on Curtis Blaydes, who still doesn't know where he is right now. And he looked really good in this fight. I think he got a little impatient, and he might have rushed the takedown. Easy for me to say, but it seems to me like he might have rushed the takedown there, and he did telegraph it a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, Lewis responded perfectly. You know, I mean, it was perfect timed. I don't know. I mean, he clearly won the first round and did so in one side. Like I said, Lewis wasn't really even in that first round. He kind of took the first round off, and then boom, second round ended that thing. That's just the power of that guy, man. That's just the power. Blaydes, I still think Blaydes is a better, more well-rounded fighter, but man, power is something very difficult to overcome. You know, it's I can hit you 10 times and then you hit me once and do more damage than my 10 shots. You could be 90% less accurate and still win. I mean, that's the deal with Lewis, man. He's got power.
Yeah, and Bisping's interviewing him right now. Derrick Lewis saying his body was dead and he didn't really feel it out there. It's nice to have that home run swing when you need it, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, he kind of didn't do a lot in the first round. You know, I mean, he missed with the shots that he threw. He didn't do a lot. But boy, he did in that second round.
That was really interesting.
And derailed Blaydes. Well, that's a shakeup in the top of that division right there. I mean, Blaydes doesn't drop far because he has wins over like the 6th ranked person, but that definitely derails Blaydes' chance for a title shot anytime soon, and resurrects Derrick Lewis's.
Well, Bisping asked him who he wants next, and he goes, hey, I heard John Jones is coming up, and he goes, I don't going to fight for no title, but he goes, we'll see. Maybe at some point he wants to fight Jones. That was what Derrick Lewis just told Michael Bisping in the post-fight interview, and we're going to have Derrick Lewis at the podium here live on MMA Weekly. After that performance, just obliterated Curtis Blaydes, and our chat numbers are going through the roof right now. What did you guys think about that fight? What do you guys think? And I mean, Lewis threw a couple. Look, Blaydes was out before he hit the ground, and you fight till the ref says stop. But Blaydes was prone on his back, out cold, and took 2 huge bombs from Derrick Lewis after he was already knocked out cold. It all happened super fast. I'm not saying Derrick Lewis did it on purpose. I'm not saying Herb Dean did anything wrong. I'm just saying sometimes that happens. If you think about it, think back to the extra shot that Bisping took from Dan Henderson, for example, after that Hendo bomb. Very similar to that, Jeff.
That wasn't a late shot by Henderson.
No, none of them were late shots. None of them were late shots,
kidding,
right? But
Bisping was knocked out completely, and Hendo landed
and so is Blaydes.
Here's a bomb for you. It's hard for the referee. You think that you're getting in good position, and then something like that happens, and Blaydes falls the opposite way, and you're like, oh shit, it takes you a second to get there. That's sort of what happened. I don't think that the referee really did anything wrong there, but Lewis did not need to hit him those times. Mark Hunt wouldn't have hit him that follow-up time. He'd have just walked off. I think the walk-off knockout looks a hell of a lot cooler anyway.
No, and we told you on the preview show, if you watched it on MMA Weekly, and check out all our shows, I got interviews coming up with Vitor Belfort, Patricio Pitbull, and Captain Eric Albarracin. We got the Fallout show tomorrow, 3 Eastern, 12 Pacific. But I'll tell you what, and thank you, Jordan, for that. We appreciate it, and we have a lot of respect for all you guys, too. Look, the great fans of this sport, Jeff's been around it almost 20 years. I've been in it about 12. You cannot, fool the fans in this sport. If you're phony, if you don't really love it, the fans will fish you out right away, and you're not going to last long. So we appreciate that comment, Jordan. We're doing a lot at MMA Weekly. We're working hard. We're taking some risks. No risk it, no biscuit, Bruce Arians, right? But we're working hard to bring you coverage that you're not going to see anywhere else. So we really appreciate you guys noticing that. But we talked about it on the preview show, Jeff, a couple of days ago when we broke down the heavyweight division. The Yana Kunitskaya, Derrick Lewis parlay was the bet to make tonight.
Yeah, he was a plus 380, right? Isn't that what you said?
And a plus 300, yep.
Yeah, I mean,
Lewis was plus 300. Yana was plus 380.
Yeah, that's crazy. Neither one of those. I mean, and we complained about that. We said that those odds were off. They were definitely off. But wow, maybe everybody just underestimated Derrick Lewis tonight, Jim. I mean, Blaydes is as good as we say he is. He's as good as everybody says that he is. But man, I felt like maybe we talked a hell of a lot about Curtis Blaydes and didn't talk enough about Lewis, man. I mean, that was crazy right there. That was a crazy knockout. And those two punches, man, I just looked at them. God, Herb Dean was not in a great position. It all happened fast, but those were huge shots.
Let me see. Yeah, they're not showing. I'm trying to find the parlay, what it paid out.
Oh, it paid out
Thank
big.
you, Jordan. Jordan says he always tunes in, and he will keep tuning in. Really appreciate that. Man, did someone say it was Herb Dean's fault? I don't think so. Pooch, I don't think anybody, neither one of us said it's Herb Dean's fault. It happened so fast because Blaydes kind of sat there. He went in for the takedown. Lewis changed levels, dropped his right shoulder, thunder uppercut, right? Just crushed him with the uppercut. And Blaydes just kind of, right there when you have a saw and you cut down a tree, right before it falls, it just kind of hangs in no man's land for a minute. That's what happened with Blaydes. So as that's happening, he falls backwards on the ground. As he's hitting the ground, Lewis is already on top of him. Boom, boom. It wasn't Herb's fault. Lewis is not being dirty. It's just unfortunate. It's one of those situations where a completely defenseless knockout fighter took two huge bombs from Derrick Lewis after he was already knocked out, and sometimes that happens.
Hey, just to let you know, the odds, if you bet on Lewis to win by KO, was a plus 475.
Plus 475 for Lewis to win by KO. Man, we have a great team at MMA Weekly, don't we, Jeff? Ken and you and Hunter and everybody writing tonight. We got our shows. We got everything coming up. A whole bunch of new content coming your way on all our social media platforms. Big things coming in the future. But, Lewis said it was Herb's fault. Okay. Well, look, when you know the guy's knocked out cold, you can also stop throwing. And I've seen some fighters do that.
Yeah, I disagree with what Lewis is saying. Look, Blaydes shot for a takedown. So he shot in and he gets hit with an uppercut and he kind of just, and then he's laying flat on his back, not moving, hands at his side, and Lewis jumps in Superman style and lands two huge right hands as Herb Dean's trying to get to it. That's not Herb Dean's fault. It happened really fast. Herb Dean tried to get there. And I'll bring up Mark Hunt. Mark Hunt doesn't throw either of those two punches in that situation. He walks off. That was a walk-off knockout.
Right.
And so
you're right. Mark Hunt is, you're right. And it's hard for me to say that Lewis did anything wrong. Definitely can't blame Herb because it happened so fast. But as a fighter too, when the other fighter's done. And I think that, look, your adrenaline's going. I'm not saying Lewis did anything dirty, but I think if Derrick Lewis wants to point the blame at anyone, it wouldn't be Herb Dean.
No, look, Lewis decided to throw those two punches. Whether it's because the adrenaline's going or he didn't know if Blaydes was completely out, because maybe he didn't. Maybe he just knew he knocked him down and then you dive. everything happens really fast. Or in my experience, in moments like that, things are either in slow motion or extremely fast. It looked like that was fast. Herb wasn't really in a bad position. He was just to the side of the fighters, and then the way he fell was away from where Herb was, and so he had to get there. And he got there fast. It's just that Lewis got there quicker. But yeah, I don't think Lewis needs to apologize or blame anybody for that. That's the fight game.
That last one though, Jeff.
That
last one, I might have a bit of an issue with Derrick Lewis on that last one. The first one that he threw with Blaydes on the ground, maybe, and they were super. But that last one, he was on top of him and could clearly see that he was out cold. I mean, that's
But it's also hard to stop that
questionable.
adrenaline. Yeah, but it's also hard to stop that adrenaline and turn it off. I mean, you're asking him
and
to
you play
turn it
just
off in
like
a
you
split
play the
second.
whistle. Yep, just like football, you play the whistle. You punch till the ref says stop.
Yeah, I mean, Lewis didn't do anything wrong right there, but he shouldn't have. He shouldn't have even made a comment. He shouldn't have said anything about Herb Dean and just let it be what it was. He landed 2 big bombs after a guy was knocked out. But like I said, some people can turn it off in an instant, and some people cannot.
Man, I will tell you what an unbelievable win for Derrick Lewis. I mean, and just a great fight, an incredible fight.
Yeah, Blaydes looked good. I mean, Blaydes looked good in that fight. He looked as good as he's looked in any round of any fight that he's been in that first round. It's just that Derrick Lewis, man, he landed that uppercut, and that was it. That was crazy because he didn't even get to put full power into it. It was a timing deal. He just, boom, threw an uppercut low, and it landed. Crazy.
Man, my phone is blowing up. The texts are coming. The chat room's going insane. The heavyweights bringing the thunder. I mean, look, this is one of the top knockouts of, I mean, look, we talked earlier in the night, Jeff, about the emphatic statements made by fighters this year. We talked about Max Holloway in the first fight card of the year on January 16th and the performance that he put on against Calvin Kattar. We talked about Chiesa. We talked about Poirier and Chandler. We talked about Volkov. We talked about Kamaru Usman. And now we talk about Derrick Lewis. That is one of the most impressive knockouts I've ever seen. He was out cold. And we're talking about a 260-pound dude knocked out cold in one shot. And that was the theme of the night. We had 1, 2, 3, 4 decisions and 1 sub. But even on the prelims, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 TKOs and 2 KOs on this card.
Yeah, it was a night of finishes for sure. Yeah, man. I mean, like I said, what stood out to me the biggest is that Derrick Lewis can generate a lot of power in a weird angle. That's not a power shot. I mean, he just kind of tried to time it and landed it perfectly on the button. That's crazy. It's crazy good reaction time. I agree with what you said earlier. That's something he's probably been working on in the gym. Look, that's something that I used to tell one of my buddies who wrestled at Indiana University in Bloomington, is that I'm going to hit you before you can take me down. And I was wrong every time. And I envisioned doing that, what Derrick Lewis did. For that to happen is so rare. For him to have that timing and that reflexes and that size of a body to do what he just did tonight is crazy. It's crazy.
And as I'm watching the post-fight show and I'm not hearing what Karen Bryant and Alan Joban and Rashad Evans are saying, and I love Rashad. I really like him. He's a super cool dude. But as I saw Rashad come on camera, my first thought was his eyes rolling back from Lyoto. Remember that?
Mm-hmm. As Rampage called it, the stinky leg.
Devastating knockout. I mean, we've seen some bad ones. Hendo and Bisping, of course, right up there. Man, just incredible knockout power. When John Jones watches this and he sees the power that he's walking into in this division, what do you think Bones is thinking when he's probably not thinking much about it, like he's just going to go in and it can happen at light heavyweight? But when you see that kind of carnage from one shot, what are you thinking? Like, what am I walking in this division for?
I mean, John Jones, that's what I was saying. That's why I want to see. I'm not sold on Jones as a heavyweight because that's the power he's going up against. He hasn't fought that power. He has not fought that power. Now, yes, the Cormier fight, but Cormier was making 205 pounds. That wasn't heavyweight Cormier hitting him. I mean, I think Jones is entering into a world where, well, I'll say it, and I've said it before. I think we're going to see Jones for the first time in his career face down on the canvas.
All right. Well, you're calling it, and I don't know if or when that's going to come. And thank you, Jamie Gutierrez, by the way, saying you all are sick. Keep up the great work. Laura Senko is actually sitting with Derrick Lewis right now doing an interview, and he'll be at the podium, I guess, in a little while. But man, it's crazy. And our chat's still going nuts with numbers right now. This is the kind of division that you're in the heavyweight division. So now Derrick Lewis at number 4 knocks out number 2, and people are really in the chat right now, Jeff, just debating the extra punches. And that's, I mean, what do you guys think? Keep it coming. Extra, that third one, the second one on the ground, the third one overall was definitely extra. It was extra necessary. Was it super necessary? Was it anything that should get Derrick Lewis in trouble? Is it something they did on purpose? Is he dirty? No. Is Herb Dean not doing his job? No. But Derrick Lewis didn't have to throw that last one. He did not have to throw that last one. Make no mistake about it. But that being said, Blaydes was talking a lot of shit. Blaydes was running his mouth. He was. And Derrick Lewis and Blaydes with the gamesmanship. Derrick Lewis ain't that dude. I mean, you're talking about a city boy. You're talking about a city boy from the deep south. You're talking about a fighter to his core. If you fought Derrick Lewis in the street, God only knows what would happen to you. He ain't that guy. So I don't have any problem with the extra shot. I mean, I think that he should have stopped after he hit him with the first one on the ground. The first one on the ground, hey, you don't know if the guy's out. You don't know if it's over. Anything can happen in a fight. We've seen fighters lose, as a matter of fact, with those types of circumstances. But that last one, you could say.
Yeah, I mean, it was late. I mean, it was late. But like I said, some people are able to turn that off. When you get inside the octagon, you're in kill mode, right? I mean, I'm out here to hurt you, and you're trying to hurt me. And for you to turn that switch off, some people are able, like we brought up Mark Hunt, he had so much experience, he's able to just turn it off and walk away immediately. Maybe Lewis isn't one of those people. I mean, we all have friends that once they get kind of fired up, some of them they can calm down immediately, and others, man, it takes longer. And so I think that maybe we're over-analyzing the situation. I think that Lewis dropped the guy and then went in for a follow-up punch and landed 2 of them. Herb Dean stopped it. I don't think it was malicious. I think it was just, I'm still in the fight. You know, it hasn't been stopped yet. I'm going to continue hitting him. But I will say not everybody would have done that, you know. But
well, no, and I started thinking, like, what fight was it that just happened? And it was not recent, but it was not terribly long ago. It was Justin Gaethje against Cowboy Cerrone, who he's buddies with. And he was literally at the ref going, come on, what are you doing? Stop it. As he was like waiting to hit him again because he knew Cowboy was out. So that was the one where Gaethje kind of pulled a Mark Hunt and he was getting pissed at the ref for not stopping that. You remember that one?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, like I said, there's some fighters that get real pissed off about that. You know, look, we're all colleagues, right? You don't want to see anybody take more damage than they have to. And then other fighters kind of, you know, either they can't turn it off or they actually do just want to inflict damage. I don't know. And I think it's probably a case by case basis, right? It's individual. I don't feel like Lewis did anything that was terribly wrong right there. Was that a late punch? No, because the fight hadn't been stopped. But was it a late punch because he was knocked out? Yeah, man, that was kind of brutal to watch that second one land. But then again, I'm not a professional fighter, man. I'm not in there. So what I think's brutal. Who really cares what I think? Derrick Lewis didn't do anything wrong, and Herb Dean didn't do anything wrong. Just unfortunately for Blaydes, he took 2 extra shots there that he probably didn't need to take.
Well, hopefully Dana gives $50K to Lewis and Dawkins. I don't want to see Dawkins lose that bonus. That was a crazy TKO too. I hope Dana just pays both of them.
Yeah, there's a lot of finishes on this card. You know, it's going to be interesting to see who gets the bonuses, and we'll find that out shortly. It'll be up on MMAWeekly.com. We're waiting on Derrick Lewis to come. Go ahead.
Yeah. I was just going to say, I don't think Stephen A. Smith would have liked the co-main all that much. But, I mean, just, you know, he doesn't like female fighters. Bad Stephen A. I hate Stephen A. Smith for the record. But I always have. But when I look at that fight, man.
Happen in MMA.
The elbows to the head from Kunitskaya to Vieira were just brutal, man. And they opened her right up. Just Yana Kunitskaya, brutal. Just an outstanding performance by her tonight. Then Derrick Lewis in the main event. This was an awesome fight card top to bottom. I thought it was great.
It was an awesome fight card from top to bottom. It started out with a lot of finishes, and then the main card. I mean, it kicked off with a finish in the heavyweight division. It was a good night of fights. It's a good night of fights. And who cares what Stephen A. Smith thinks, right? I mean, he's still to this day has the biggest, dumbest quote in MMA history. With sometimes things happen like this in MMA while they're brawling and throwing down in there. No, Stephen A. Smith.
Our Cowboy Cerrone did not show up for this fight. Like, easy for you to say, dude. So let me see. John Wick. That's great. Great name in the chat. Where did that go? I just lost it. It was a great. John Jones gets killed by Derrick Lewis. He will get put in a coffin by Lewis.
Well, I don't know.
Bobby Ricky. Damn, I should have bet. Blaydes shouldn't have shot a double leg. I mean, hindsight's 2020, right? If he wants to wrestle, join the WWE. Let's see. Derrick Lewis is going to win the title for sure now. Not really sure that I agree with that. Bones cleans up easy. Vitor Belfort seemed to think that. Everyone but Stipe. And the interview's coming up with Vitor. You'll hear what he thinks about Jones in the heavyweight division. John Wick, Curtis deserved the extra shots. He talked a lot. A lot of people believe in that, man. I tell my kids this all the time, Jeff. Street justice. And my son, like, he's little and, like, he'll run his mouth at my daughter. I'm like, yeah, be careful, man. Like, when no parents are around, you're going to pay for that. But when you run your mouth, I mean, you got to make sure that you're not in the position to pay for it. And I think Blaydes definitely got a little bit of that tonight.
No, I mean, but the difference is this isn't a street fight. These are two professional athletes in a space with a referee and rules and a padded surface and paramedics sitting there. You don't. I don't agree with that statement at all. But people deserve that. He's building a fight, and if Derrick Lewis is like upset because Blaydes is building a fight, then Derrick Lewis doesn't understand the business that well. I just disagree with that comment, man. I don't think that Blaydes deserved that. He got it, he got it, but I don't think he deserved it or anything. Blaydes isn't a bad guy because he tried to build a fight and make as much money for his family as he possibly could, and also make as much money for Lewis and his family.
Yeah, no doubt. And look, I mean, we know that as a fighter, you're told a million times in the rules meetings, you fight till the ref says stop. So Lewis definitely did nothing wrong there. So for George, who just said, I ref, you're wrong, don't matter, you're extra, I don't think you spell, but if you ref, but you're stupid, need not broadcast, don't have no cly. It your job as fighter to, okay, so he refs somewhere. Thank God he doesn't teach a spelling class. John Wick, Curtis deserved the extra shots. Lamont says the reason why Curtis Blaydes got extra punches is because Herb Dean was scared of getting extra punches. I mean, you don't want to jump in in the middle of that.
Lewis was coming like a truck, man.
You're in the line of fire.
He was coming hard and fast. It looked like Herb was just he wasn't out of position. It's just that the knockout happened and Blaydes fell that way and away from where Herb was standing. And so it took him an extra step or two to get there.
Underground West says Lewis gave him some NyQuil. Lewis gave him the extra punch. All right. Stipe would just toy with Lewis, says Bobby Ricky. I actually agree. I don't know if anyone's going to toy with Derrick Lewis, but I believe Stipe is a whole nother level. I believe John Jones is a whole nother level. It was a hell of a fight. If Blaydes lives to fight well another day, it was a good fight. Jamie Gutierrez, there you go. Stephen A. Smith. Lewis won by skill. He was waiting for the takedown, saw it, and went for the uppercut. I have a monitor above my camera in case you guys are wondering why I'm looking up there. The ref is supposed to protect the fighters. He should have got in there sooner. It happened so fast. He didn't succeed. It's not Herb Dean's fault. It's not Herb Dean's fault. International Fight Week will be Lewis versus winner of Stipe versus Francis. No, Sean, it's going to be John Jones gets the winner of that fight. I mean, who knows? Unless you're saying something happens with Jones. Things have happened before. Counter-striking strategy seemed out of place in the first round, but worked perfectly in the second. That's nice analysis right there. Good job, Michael Flores. Is Blaydes still out? No. Oh, wow. We got a lot of comments coming in. He didn't know where he was for a while. Blaydes shouldn't have shot a double leg, box clinch, and wrestle from the clinch. Easy to say in hindsight. Curtis has trouble with power punchers. Everyone has trouble with power punchers.
I just feel like Blaydes. Go ahead, Jeff. I don't feel like Blaydes set up that takedown. Is what the problem was. It wasn't the takedown. He didn't set it up.
Sorry, I didn't watch because I'm a casual. Apple JM.
There you go.
John Friedel says a real martial artist would be aware and hold off on those extra shots. Fighters who are criminal-minded will take advantage of the situation that allows them to punch an unconscious body. That's a little strong there, John. Let me see. Herb Dean was scared of his shoe getting hit. Oh, man. George says sorry, typing on a phone and a few beers. I'm not trying to rip you, George. I guess I did. I was a little hard on George Adkins.
Is he the referee?
He did apologize. Yeah, he's the referee who hates us and said we don't have a clue, and I'm apologizing to him.
I've been to a lot of fights, man, but I'm not blaming the referee. I'm not blaming the referee there. I understand the sport to know how fast things happen, and Herb was on his way there. As soon as he saw Blaydes falling, he started going that way. It's just that Lewis got there quicker. Not Herb Dean's fault right there at all. If you're going to blame, if you feel the need to blame somebody, you probably should blame the guy throwing the punches.
Man, Andrei Arlovsky was so pissed at himself after he got caught in that choke. I mean, he left himself wide open for a veteran guy. He literally got pounded into the fence and fell down, but you could see his face right after he took that choke. He was not happy with himself.
No.
Blaydes definitely didn't set it up. He was trying to feint into a shot, not set the shot up with strikes like he was supposed to. James Borgia. These are all good points when you're not fighting a 265-pound monster right in your face. D. Coleman says Lewis versus Gon Rosenstruik winner. To me, that's the fight, Jeff. He hasn't fought either one of them. Whoever wins that fight, that's next for Derrick Lewis. No brainer to me. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's probably what's next for him. But like I said, Lewis didn't take damage tonight. He's going to be able to be a backup for if something happens to Stipe or Francis. Then Lewis is ready to step in right now. Clearly, Blaydes is going to get a suspension after being knocked out like that. But I think that's what's next for him is he's going to go back, and then the UFC is going to say, "Hey, we need you to actually weigh in and be here ready to fight in case that title fight at the end of March falls apart. You're going to be the one to get in there." I think that's what's going to be next for Derrick Lewis. Hopefully, he doesn't have to fill in, and then we're going to see the fight that you guys are talking about.
Yeah, and Vic Rodriguez says Curtis Blaydes should have stuck with the leg kicks. Derrick Lewis wasn't interested in wrestling at all. The leg kicks were working good. The patience of Blaydes in round one, I think his corner, but it's get that takedown because in the first round he was patient. He was throwing that calf kick. He was landing. He was hitting some combinations. He looked like he had Lewis not beat but outclassed for sure. And then you have the second round, he came in right away for the takedown. And it was kind of, I don't want to say it was a rush takedown. And again, easy for me to say. I've never fought a fight in my life. I hear some sound here. Does this mean we have? We do.
Derrick, that's one of the scariest knockouts you've ever seen in your career, in UFC history. And that's an all-time highlight. So what are you feeling right now? How do you feel about the fight?
I couldn't wake up in there really. Like the whole time in the back, the walk to the octagon, first and second round, my body couldn't just wake up. I don't know why. I didn't have it today. Like the energy that I needed to have. I wanted to be more explosive like in first, but I couldn't just pull the trigger. But all I was waiting on was just for him to shoot. So I didn't care about anything else. I was just waiting on him to shoot. Throw the uppercut so we knew it was coming.
Have you ever felt that before where you just couldn't get the energy going? Is that something new in your career?
No, I felt it before. It was whenever I fought Ngannou, I felt it that time. And it was another time, it was in Austin when I fought Tagore. Yeah, it happens off and on. It's nothing, I'm pretty sure nothing you can prepare for.
So as I was watching the first round play out, I mean, were you surprised his hand, like you say, you knew the takedown was going to come at some point, right? But were you surprised he did stand with you as much as he did?
Like at the end of the first round, like, he's messing up. That's what I was saying in my head. I said, his coach is saying, he was trying to pump his head up. Good, you're doing good. And I'm like, all right, keep playing that game. That's what I was saying to myself. I said, okay. The second round came, and I kind of figured that he was going to come out and stand up a little bit, then he was going to try to shoot. So I just knew I had to just be patient.
Did you know, kind of planning that the uppercut was going to be the shot?
That's my coach, Joe Murphy, and Robert, who Enzo. Hondo. And that's what we've been drilling all month, really 12 weeks, really trying to get prepared for that.
So I got to ask you about the eye pokes, right? There was one at the end of the first round, and then it looked like maybe there was another one in the second. You kind of gave a look to her, like, what's going on here? So I mean,
then he said it was my hand. I'm like, nah, I didn't poke him. He poked me, but it's all good.
Did it bother you at all? Was your eyesight impaired at all, or were the pokes bad?
Actually, my eye, it would bother me lately. I think he eating Cheetos before the fight. So got the Cheetos in my eyes.
Yeah, we won't do that. All right, you hit him with the uppercut. He goes out cold. You jump down with 2 more punches. Was that something a little bit personal there? Was that sending a message to Curtis that he upset you?
No, it's like I can't just turn the switch off just like that. I know some fighters can do that, but I can't do that. I got to wait until the referee pulls you off because you never know what happens. Anything can happen. He could turn into Undertaker and sit straight up and eat all those shots. So you never know. You got to keep going to the referee, say, hey, chill out.
Yeah. And then I got to ask you about 2 things you said afterwards. First, you pointed to Curtis and said, that's Herb fault. So is that like, are you saying that he got you mad with the eye poke thing, or what happened?
No, because his coaches was talking about that was bullshit. And I was saying, that's not my fault. That's Herb Dean's fault. I'm going to keep fighting until the referee pull you off. That's with anyone. It's the same thing can happen to me. So I'm just keep fighting until the referee says stop.
And then the other statement you made was, I believe, I'm the black beast, not the black bitch.
You heard that. I couldn't wait for that to actually.
You're right, I could. Who was that directed to?
Directed to everybody that's thinking they're going to come in here and get an easy paycheck. And I won't overeat next. Like I said earlier, I'm already greased and oiled up for them, so we ready. Yeah.
I like it. I was going to ask, so when would you like to see that happen?
As soon as possible, as soon as he passes concussion protocol, whatever, his suspension, whatever he got, it'll be as soon as possible. But I would like a 3-round fight, just cause I don't want 5 rounds. But I'd like to give a shout out to Grindhouse, Alyssa. I appreciate her for getting me my condition and everything where it needs to be. And Ricardo, what's his last name?
Evangelista.
Who?
Ricardo Evangelista.
Ricardo Evangelista. For helping me with my jiu-jitsu and takedown defense and stuff like that. And Henzo Gracie. Yes. For helping me sharpen up my blue belt and my All-American wrestling skills. And Main Street Boxing Gym. If I don't say that, Hondo would be mad.
We've only been together 7 years, man. That's
Yeah. Well, you keep changing the gym name. All right.
There's talk of you or Curtis could have just gone to wait for a title shot, but you went over it next because actually just lost the fight. Is it just that person with you that you don't care who's had a loss?
Yeah, I don't care. He had a couple of losses in a row. It'd be cool to fight him because he's a so-called legend, so it'd be cool to fight somebody like that. And also, he's been talking trash. He's saying that his teammate Curtis could handle his lightweight and stuff like that. And we've been trying to fight him for years, and he turned it down to fight 4 times. Isn't that right, Hondo?
It's been a few.
Yes.
Do you think he'll take it now?
He might take it. He's been hit in the head a couple of times, so he might forget all about what happened tonight. So he'll probably take it.
Did you say that you're oiled up and ready for him?
Yes, clapping cheeks. No homo.
Maybe he won't take it.
Well, he'll probably take it. He's from Netherlands, so you never know. You guys out there, they can stay high.
You say you only want 3 rounds. That means you maybe wouldn't be a main event. Would you really not want a main event for your next fight?
No, I don't need no main event. I don't deserve a main event.
Why you say that?
I won't go 5 rounds.
Oh,
It's 5 rounds, man. 5 rounds, really, my body was like, man, all right, keep on fucking around. You know, retiring your ass. But man, we can't do 5 rounds, 8 5 rounds.
He seemed like he was really focused on trying to hurt your front leg. How were those leg kicks? Did it look like there was some swelling? Did that start affecting your stance, your power, or anything?
Oh, not at all. No. Shit, he was really waking my legs up. Like I said earlier, I couldn't get it going anyway, so he was really helping me out. And no, the legs kicks didn't bother me at all.
And I'm sure you played the fight out in your head multiple times, but how closely to what played out there is what you envisioned that would happen in that fight?
The upcut. We talked about that he's gonna try to kill my lead leg. That's what all wrestlers do when they're fighting on a striker, try to take out the power. And so we knew he was gonna do that. We knew he was gonna play the game and try to stand up. He just did everything we knew he was gonna do. There's nothing that he did that surprised us at all.
If you keep knocking guys out, how are you gonna progress beyond the blue belt? What's the plan to get beyond the blue belt?
I would like to do the Chael Sonnen thing. What is it called?
Submission ground.
Submission on the ground. Yeah. I would like to do that and show everybody my blue belt. You know what you want.
Sounds good. Do you have a message for Houston and people in Texas before you go back?
I understand the reason why it was so cold in Houston because my hot balls wasn't there the whole week. I was freezing, so I'm coming back tomorrow. So the news did say it's supposed to be 70 degrees tomorrow, so we looking up.
Thanks, Derrick.
You mentioned in the post-fight interview about being open to welcoming John Jones to the heavyweight division.
It doesn't matter who. I'll fight anyone. It doesn't matter who they are. You know, I would fight no one. Any guy can get it. I don't care who it is.
But you would like to fight John?
I would fight anyone. Anyone.
I will say, when you took your gloves off there, you got the internet sort of talking and worrying that you were going to walk away. Is that just something to do while you're waiting for your arm to get raised, taking the gloves
I
off?
always take my gloves off. See, that's some casual right there. Because I always take my gloves off after a fight. I usually throw them in the stand, so I usually just take them off anyways.
So what do you do with them tonight?
I'll put them in my bag. I'll probably give them away some bonus bag.
Fair enough.
Derrick, it was just confirmed that you got the bonus as well. I don't know if there was much doubt in your mind that you were getting the bonus, but what do you plan on doing with the extra 50K?
I've been fighting for a while. It's nothing I can really do with the money that I get now, so it's just really just saving and I don't know, the net with it really, just saving.
It's not nearly as exciting as I thought it would be.
Sorry. Anyways, hey, I got somewhere to go after this, so don't just try to think about some stuff to ask me. Y'all had all night to ask me a question. Now, y'all finished?
No, I literally was going to ask you where's the after party.
No, you can't come to after party with that shirt on. No. No. Can't tell you what after party is. Thank you.
Is she going to make that meme where it says he's okay afterwards?
I thought about it. I don't know. We'll see.
All right, well, that's it. One and done.
I feel like I was being put on timeout. I was muted from location. I couldn't say a word. I wanted to jump in there, and our own guy on location asking a good question too about John Jones, and Lewis said, "I'll fight anybody, anyone." And I kept trying to talk at the end of that when Derrick Lewis is walking away, and I'm muted. I felt like the kid that's locked in his room by his parents. I'm going, out. Here we are, Jeff. We're out.
Yeah, we are out, man. Look, Lewis is entertaining, man. He's entertaining in the octagon. He's entertaining outside of the octagon. He had been working on that uppercut, but what I'm trying to tell people is that is incredibly hard to time. It is incredibly hard to time. Just go find yourself an accomplished wrestler and try to land that. That takes incredible timing. And I mean, if it deflects off a shoulder, then because he planted on it, he got taken down right there. I mean, that was phenomenal, man. I mean, like I said, he put everything into that. They had trained it enough to where he felt confident in throwing it, but because if he doesn't land that right there, he's on his back.
No, and Henry Cejudo talks about this all the time, and it's one of the things I love. Henry, if you watch Henry's Instagram and you watch him break down fights and you watch him talk about what it takes to be a champion, you could actually really learn a lot from Henry. But, you know, the biggest thing that he talks about that a lot of people don't mention is taking a risk. At some point in every big fight, the winning fighter has to take a big risk. It was John Jones' DC2. It was the head kick, for example. I mean, there's just an opportunity presents itself in a fight. Masvidal's was right away against Ben Askren. There comes a point in time in a big fight where you have to take that risk. And you just talked about it, Jeff. That was a big risk for Derrick Lewis to take there, because if he glances it, if he misses at all, he's on his back with Blaydes raining blows on top of him in a fight for his life at that point. So he takes the big risk and he connects big time, and he's at the podium. And like you said, you know, Derrick Lewis, one of the most entertaining people in this sport, right up there with Conor and anybody else. And I think Derrick Lewis is just as entertaining as Conor. It's just got that dry sense of humor. But, you know, it's apropos to see Derrick Lewis sitting there holding court at the end of a night like this where everybody got knocked out or TKO'd, because he's the king of the knockout. He's now got the most in UFC history, tied with Vitor Belfort, by the way, whose interview with me drops this week on MMA Weekly, shameless plug. And then also Patricio Pitbull with Captain Eric Albarracin. But actually more like a shameful plug, now that I think of it. But Derrick Lewis tied with Vitor for the most in UFC history. He has the most already in heavyweight history. We were there last August and watched him do that against Olenek, who has now been brutally knocked out twice in a row. And Eddie Wineland got knocked out again tonight. Casey O'Neill with a big knockout over Shanna Dobson. The Zahabi knockout over Rodriguez was crazy. I mean, there were some big time knockouts. And Lewis got the 50K. And I'm trying to think to myself, I'm like, come on, man. You know what? Dawkins deserves. He's a cop in Philly. He deserves the 50. You got to give him the 50K. You got to give him an extra bonus. You have to give two, because you cannot say that Lewis's knockout was better than Dawkins's. Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, you can. But Dawkins deserves it too.
Well, the good thing about the UFC is that they have official bonuses that we all report, and it's going to go up on every news site right now because they're releasing them. People are typing that up and publishing it as we speak. Other people do get bonuses that we don't know about, you know, and you know, that's kind of, I always love to see an undercard guy get the 50K, because that's probably more money than he's ever made in professional sports. You know what I mean? And so while Lewis definitely deserved it, I always like to see a guy lower on the card to get it because it means more.
I got it, Jeff. Here's what we got. I just froze it in time, so it's on my screen. Zahabi got the performance of the night along with Dawkins and Lewis and Aspinall. So Dawkins did get a bonus. So Zahabi's was incredible as well over Dreco Rodriguez. Tom Aspinall got it for the choke out of Arlovsky. Dawkins for the knockout and a TKO of Alexei Olenek and Derrick Lewis. So those four got the bonuses, and I mean, nobody else deserved them but those four. They were, and you know what? I'd say for performance of the night, though, too, Yana was pretty damn good. She was a big dog, and she was on her back for 7 minutes of the fight against Ketlin Vieira in the main event, and she was able to fend off every submission attempt from a huge jiu-jitsu black belt who was looking to make a statement and get in the title picture. So Yana deserves mentioning, and some of the other fighters were great tonight, too. But I can't say I have any issue with these four fighters getting those bonuses.
No, I don't have any issue with those four fighters getting those bonuses. Look, well, on a fight card that has that many finishes, you're not going to have a fight of the night. If there weren't very many, if there were all decisions or a lot of decisions, then Yana might have got a fight of the night. Her and Vieira could have got a bonus because that would have been fight of the night. But because there were so many finishes, man, you reward the finishes. I mean, that's what it's about. It's about rewarding finishes or that's at least the way I take the bonuses.
We got some beef going on in the chat. One guy's going, have you ever watched UFC? And the other guy goes, have you ever attended an English class? This is getting good in the chat. Jeff, I love it. People are fired up. And then Kieran Scott wants to know, hey, what heavyweight beats Jones? I say nobody. Maybe Stipe, because Stipe is that good. Stipe is that great. I believe Stipe's on Jones's level right there with him, maybe a smidge below overall. I don't know. It's tough to call, but I definitely think Jones and Stipe are by far, and Jones hasn't even come in yet, and we don't know for sure what's going to happen. We just assume, and we've been told that he gets the title shot right away coming into heavyweight. But, who knows if Izzy beats Jan, if Jones ends up being enticed to fight Adesanya there and shut him up, or at least that's what Jones wants to do. And that's a tough match for Jones. But I think the three best fighters in the upper weight classes are Stipe, Jones, and Izzy. Give me a Moto Award, master of the obvious, right? But they're the three best in the upper weight classes, in my opinion. I believe that Jones and Stipe is the fight that we should see right now. I don't think Francis should get this shot first. I've said it from day one. I want to see GOAT versus GOAT. I want to see Bones versus Stipe, the greatest 205 or the greatest heavyweight. I don't want Stipe to have a chance to lose first and mess that up for us as MMA fans, but I don't think he will. So I think what we're going to see sometime this summer, maybe headlining Fight Week with a full crowd, knock on wood, please God, Stipe, Jones, GOAT versus GOAT, heavyweight, light heavyweight, lights out, International Fight Week, the greatest of all time. That's what I want to see.
Yeah, I just want to see Jones face the winner. If it's Stipe, it's Stipe. If it's Francis, it's Francis. I think that Stipe beats Jones, and here comes the chat because they're going to go crazy on me. I don't think that that's that competitive of a fight. I think Stipe lands one jab, and John Jones says, "Holy shit! How much weight do I have to cut to go back to 205?"
Wow. Well, people, that's pretty strong. What do you think in the chat, guys? Because people are saying Lewis shouldn't take the fight, the winner of next week's fight. He's beaten number 1 and number 2, meaning Ngannou and Blaydes, and he should wait. But he's not going to, because if you watch the press, the post-fight presser, he said he wants Overeem. He wants to fight Alistair Overeem next, is what Derrick Lewis said. And, I still think he should fight the winner of next week's fight, but he says he wants Overeem. Maybe Volkov gets the winner of next week's fight, and Lewis gets Overeem.
Yeah, look,
Volkov was great against Overeem, and Volkov's number 5, so do you have a problem with Volkov getting the winner next week?
No, not at all. And look, Lewis and Overeem's a fun fight. It's a striking fight. They're going to stand out there, although Overeem will try to take that fight to the ground. But, on paper, that should be a good striking fight. And Overeem's at the tail end of his career. It's a good name on your resume, and it's a good fight for Lewis. He feels confident in that fight. He could get another beautiful knockout win, and then all of a sudden, people are talking about him more than they are maybe even the number 1 contender at that point. So I like what Lewis is doing. That's a big fight against the legend, and it's minimal danger. You know what I mean? And it sells probably as much as anybody that he's going to get next.
Jeff Kane is on drugs. Kieran Scott says Jeff Kane is on drugs.
That has nothing to do with my fight pick.
Oh, that's amazing. I love you, Jeff. How do you not love Jeff Kane? How about a little roll call? Give Jeff some love, man. He's unbelievable. And then I obliter texted you, says John Jones versus USADA 5. Fire.
USADA's undefeated. USADA's undefeated in that.
Wait,
that
this Jeff guy is full of crap, Lamont says. Also has nothing to do with your fight pick.
Nice,
wow.
nice.
I think Ngannou would destroy Jones. Yeah, Jeff, you got to take this, man, because they're coming at you. So go ahead, fire away, Jeff.
I could care less. I'll give him props for that one. That was actually entertaining, at least. If you're going to insult me, at least make me laugh a little bit. I don't think that Francis destroys Jones. I think the only person in the division that I think has a shot of destroying John Jones, outside of Francis and Lewis landing a big shot, of course that could happen, is Stipe. I can see Stipe dominating John Jones and being the faster, beating him to the punches in every exchange, winning in the clinch, not allowing Jones to get the takedown, landing uppercuts. I could see Stipe dominating John Jones. I can't see any other heavyweight doing that.
I can't either. I could see Stipe beating John Jones handily. I could see Jones beating Stipe handily. They're both incredible. But I could see, what does Stipe weigh in at? He's not huge.
No, if I
No,
had
it's
to
right
guess,
around
he's probably
240, isn't it?
235. Yeah, 240,
230.
235.
Yeah, 235, 240. Jones is going to be right around that weight. He's already been
Mhm.
up close, so they're going to be pretty much the same damn size.
Oh yeah,
You know,
yeah. I mean, Stipe's not a huge heavyweight. You know,
but
he's
he's
nodding
strong,
dominant.
man.
Yes,
He's
and he's
strong as fuck.
fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's fast, and he's light on his feet. He moves differently than the other heavyweights move, and I think that's what makes Stipe such an anomaly in that division, such a hard puzzle to figure out. I mean, Cormier figured him out for a second, man. You know, he landed that big bomb in the clinch after the eye poke and all of that. Not taking anything away from DC. He flattened him, but you saw what Stipe did when they fought again. And Stipe's his IQ is just so high. You know, and that's what makes that fight the most interesting to me is that John Jones and Stipe. Yeah, that exactly. I think that both of their, as far as fight IQ are, they're some of the highest in the sport, period. And so that makes that fight really interesting.
It really does. And you're getting some love in there, Jeff. Love you, Jeff. Gotta love Jeff. But you're wrong, Jeff. Jones wins. Jeff is very objective. This dude said Stipe with the jab. Get Jeff off the mic. Stipe is on his way out. Stipe is very accurate. DC got lucky. Brandon says, I just don't know how Jones' power translates to heavyweight, but also Jones has been having close fights. But that's what you're saying, Jeff. You don't know, number one, about Jones's power translating to heavyweight, but also if Jones knows or is ready for the power he's going to face at heavyweight. That's your biggest thing, right?
Yeah, I don't know how John Jones is going to react taking a punch like Lewis just landed, right? I don't know how he's going to react to that. And he's not. Look,
I don't think Jones takes that punch. Do you? I don't think Jones does what Blaydes did. I don't think Blaydes was very smart with that takedown attempt. Easy for me to say, but I don't think that was a very smart move by him. In retrospect, it was not smart at all. But, I mean, at the time, he was doing really well sitting on the outside with the calf kick, being really patient. Someone in his corner yelled at him to go for the takedown. I guarantee you. Someone in the corner said, go for the takedown. You're not going for takedowns. And got his guy knocked out.
Yeah, or that was a part of the game plan, you know, where they were like, look, the first round we're going to land calf kicks, we're going to slow him down, and then the second round we're going to start working the wrestling. And instead of like working that into the game plan on fight night, Blaydes just went out there and shot for a takedown without setting it up with his punches, which is something I complimented him on in the preview show, is that he's done a good job lately of setting up those takedowns with punches. There was a time that he didn't, and he paid the big price for it.
I'm wondering, Jeff, right now as I sit here, Jones overall, I would give him the edge against Izzy, but I might give Izzy the edge against Stipe if Izzy went up and he liked to call Paulo Costa a balloon animal. If he ballooned up to heavyweight, I think Izzy he might be a guy who could win all three. I actually believe Israel Adesanya is that good. What do you think?
Well, I want to see Izzy in there with a wrestler of the pedigree of, say, a DC or somebody like that. You know.
Well, he was with Yoel.
Yes, but Yoel is Yoel's been Yoel. It's not Yoel from 7 years ago or anything. Yoel's not fighting that same style that he did before. He doesn't have the same. He's gotten older. You know, while he looks to be a great specimen, he has slowed down. But I agree. That's a good point. It's a valid point, Jim. Yoel is a guy with extremely high wrestling pedigree, and Izzy didn't have a problem with him or didn't have a huge issue with him. But, I want to see him have to face that in a fight. Somebody's just going to relentlessly try to take him down. It's not even going to try to stand with him. Like, that's the game plan. 100% for 25 minutes. Takedown, 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 takedown. That's the fight. Well, that's the fight I want to see how good I don't want to see that fight, to be honest, but that's the kind of the matchup that I want to see Izzy overcome. I think that Izzy is an anomaly because he has speed and accuracy, and I want to see him in this light heavyweight fight. If he looks really good there, then I'll entertain the heavyweight stuff. But I think that he's too small for most of those heavyweights. Well,
and Jan Blachowicz is going to have a lot to say about it in a couple of weeks too. And think about Jan. I mean, there's literally no one at 205 right now. No. It's weird. I've never seen this division so thin. Jones leaves. DC's been gone up at heavyweight. Gustafson's gone. Even tried to go to heavyweight, but he's out. And Glover's still there, long in the tooth. Santos and Reyes got beat. That's a thin division right now for the first time in a long time. And Izzy coming up is really good for that division with middleweight being stacked, and now you got Whitaker and Paulo. That's the fight that everyone wants to see at 85. So Izzy can wait a while at 85, but going up to fight Jan, yeah, I'm telling you right now, there's something about Jan. I mean, Izzy's precision striking with the extra weight, sure, he could finish him, but something about Blachowicz. I interviewed him last year in Albuquerque, and I saw that look of it. I asked him what it takes to be a champion, and we talked about the mental edge of being a champion. He talked about how he left his original camp, thought the grass was greener, and went to a couple different places, but then ended up back at home where he was a world kickboxing champion or a European kickboxing champion, ended up back in that gym. He's a kickboxing and striking champion, just like Adesanya. I mean, this is definitely, if you're a fan of strikers in MMA, you don't get a better fight than Israel Adesanya and Jan Blachowicz. You just don't. You don't. Those two guys are as good as it gets.
No, and the title's on the line, and then two division champion. If Izzy wins, there's a lot of side stories. Yeah, man, that's going to be a crazy fight. Like I said, I don't know. As we get closer to that event, we'll break it down and I'll look at it more closely. But I don't know that I'll even be picking Izzy in that fight. We'll get a definitive pick as we get closer. That's just a hard. You're going up a division and taking on the champion, and I know that you're the champion in the lighter weight class. But man, that's a tough thing to do. It's a tough thing to do.
Yeah, and Abinandan, if I hope I'm saying that right, buddy. Abinandan Kohli says people keep pushing Jones down because everyone is jealous of him or whatever they are of him because of his out of the ring activities. But in reality, he is the GOAT. And the Matt Hamill loss is ridiculous. Go watch Joe Rogan's rant on that. But Jones is the greatest of all time. He's cleaned out 3 eras of fighters, the legends that he came into the game and just wiped out Shogun and Machida, just literally just cranked Lyoto's neck against the cage and dropped him on the ground. And Lyoto was killing everybody back then, not John Jones. He beat Vitor. He destroyed Shogun, Rampage, Rashad, that whole generation of fighters. Then his contemporaries, the DCs and the Gustafsons. Now, because of his out of the cage trouble, we didn't get to see him fight Rumble. We didn't see him against Glover, or we did see him against Glover, and then we saw him against OSP. But John Jones has cleaned out 3 eras, and then the new guys with Lionheart Smith and Reyes and Santos. It was time for him to go to heavyweight. Heavyweight's jacked and stacked. We've got to see him fight Stipe. So yes, John Jones has been one of those guys who he's made you mad. He's done some stupid shit over the years, without a doubt. But you cannot deny that he is the greatest of all time. All this Khabib shit can just stop. It can just freaking stop right now. Khabib is not the GOAT. Anyone who thinks otherwise, you have revisionist history issues, my friend. Khabib Nurmagomedov is not the He's not. If you one further, Anderson Silva, Georges St. Pierre, they're also above Khabib on GOAT Mountain. The title defenses, the names they beat, the quality of fighters they've beaten in their careers are so much higher than Khabib's. Not Khabib's fault, but also when you're judging it, that's what you judge it by. Easy for me to say, Jeff, but I'm just tired of all these people. And he's right. John Jones does get a lot of shit because of the human he's been outside of the cage at times in his life. No one can mess with John Jones, the mixed martial artist. Now, you could say that the Gustafsson fight or the Reyes fight could have gone either way, but other than that, when has he even really been in a close fight? Santos was the other one. Gustafsson, Santos, and Reyes. That's it. He's dominated everyone else.
Yeah. Look, John Jones has done some stupid things outside of the cage, and not to mention the USADA stuff. He's done some stuff. I don't really care about that. Yeah, the hit and run accident with the that's not me to judge. I don't care about that. I haven't picked. My job is to cover John Jones, the fighter. You know what I mean? John Jones' family and friends and lawyers and can deal with the other John Jones. I don't care about that John Jones. I just have to deal with John Jones, the fighter. I don't think I've ever picked against John Jones before. I don't think I've ever picked against John Jones in a fight. I know how good John Jones is. It's not lost on me. I also know how good Stipe is. And I know how hard it is, or I know the difference between light heavyweight power and heavyweight power. And so those are the concerns for me. Could John Jones go up there and be the heavyweight champion? For sure. I just want to see how he looks and see him get hit and see him deal with the guy who's stronger than him perhaps in the clinch. Because that's what I was saying is the things that John Jones was able to enjoy at light heavyweight, he is not going to have at heavyweight. He's not going to have the advantage in the clinch like he did in every light heavyweight fight. He's not
He
going to have
might,
the
though,
advantage.
because he's going to be 250 pounds, so we don't know how he's going to look at that weight either.
Yeah, but even if he is 250 pounds, Francis Ngannou and Derrick Lewis are 265 pounds, and so there's still a different level of size and strength in the heavyweight division. But I don't know. I mean, we're just going to have to look at it. But I think that people give John Jones a lot of crap because he's easy to dislike. I agree. John Jones is easy to dislike. He does it to himself. But I don't. That doesn't concern me, man. I just focus on John Jones, the fighter. And he's the greatest fighter to step into the UFC octagon.
There's only one human being, and I agree with you, Jeff. There's only, I think, and there's, so here's where it comes down to. Kieran Scott wants to know, Jim, who beats Jones? And Jeff and I have said this. There's one person on the planet, in my opinion, now, one punch knockout notwithstanding. Obviously, that can happen any night to anyone at any time in any fight, regardless of whether you're winning or losing. That notwithstanding, there's one person on the planet capable of beating John Jones. And no, I'm not going to say John Jones, maybe two. There's one person on the planet capable of beating John Jones, and that person is literally Stipe Miocic to me, and that's it. When it comes to skill, when it comes to greatness, when it comes to intelligence, fight IQ, when it comes to having been in all the big fights, having faced all the adversity, every situation, fought legend after legend, done everything you can do in the sport, there is one dude who can even say he's on the level of John Jones, and he's done it at heavyweight, which, of course, makes you the baddest man on the planet, and that's Stipe. I think Izzy could get close, got a ways to go, but right now, Jeff, it's just Stipe.
Yeah, and look, to decide the GOAT, what you said earlier, we can only judge that on your accomplishments inside the cage. Do I think that Khabib Nurmagomedov is absolutely, arguably the GOAT as far as skill set goes? Yeah, man. But he didn't prove it in the octagon. He didn't fight enough times. He didn't fight the name quality. He didn't fight legends and stuff. There's a video of Cormier and Khabib sitting on the floor at the gym, and Khabib's telling Cormier that he can take him down, and Cormier's laughing at him, saying, like, in the real world, you actually believe that? And Khabib gets upset, and he's like, "Are you serious?" And then gets up and takes Cormier down 3 times. That is a full-fledged heavyweight man, Olympic
wrestler
level wrestling against a 160-pound man, just took him down 3 times. And so I think that people get confused when we talk about Khabib. Khabib's skill set is absolutely legendary. I don't know a lot of people who have a better skill set than Khabib. And
his striking against Gaethje was holy shit, man. Where did that come from, Jeff?
But he has not accomplished what John Jones and George St. Pierre and Anderson Silva were able to do in their divisions during their prime. Khabib just wasn't able to do that.
Even Aldo. I'll put Aldo in there.
Yes. Yeah, even Aldo. Yeah, I mean, I agree. But it's not a knock on Khabib. And like I said, if I have to pick a skill set, like if I have to mold the best fighter in the world, I'm going to take Khabib. I'm going to add about 70 pounds and stretch him out a little taller and say, there he is.
Yeah, imagine if he was a heavyweight. And Stipe's been unbelievable with all his heavyweight title defenses and victories, and his career has got more belts than he'd ever know what to do with. Man, what an unbelievable night. What an unbelievable ride this has been. You look at the divisions. You look at Jones going to heavyweight with Stipe already up there and Ngannou. And then you look at light heavyweight with Adesanya going up to fight Jan Blachowicz. And then you go down to middleweight where there's Costa and there's Robert Whittaker. Kelvin Gastelum is back in the win column. You have a bunch of killers that won it. Marvin Vettori, Darren Till. They're intriguing fighters. Then you go to 70 and Kamaru and Colby and Jorge Masvidal and Leon Edwards and what will Woodley do, and Wonderboy's still hovering around. Then you hit 55 and Khabib's retired, or is he? But everybody wants you to think that he's not, but he is. Yeah. And then you have Conor and Poirier, and you got Chandler coming on the scene. Just a crazy. You got Pitbull throwing $1 million bet on any of them. He'll fight him anywhere. I'll bet $1 million of my own money. You got that Bellator featherweight tournament coming up. I mean, it's just crazy right now, this sport, Jeff, how good. And then look at featherweight, man. You got T-City and Volko coming up with Max Holloway waiting in the wings, and Triple C Henry Cejudo clamoring for a chance to win that third belt and add that 145 to his collection. It's just unbelievable, man. You get to the lower weight classes, you got Moreno and Figueiredo rematch coming up, and then you obviously have at 35 Jan and Aljamain Sterling with the return of TJ Dillashaw and the resurgence of Cody Garbrandt. No love. It is absolutely crazy to think about the types of fights we're in for this year. We got 6 title fights coming up, 3 on one pay-per-view, Jeff, in 2 weeks. 35 is on the line. Women's 45 is on the line. And then the main event is Izzy going up to take on it. That's 3 on one fight card in 2 weeks.
Oh, it's going to be crazy. I mean, this next month is just absolutely crazy. Look, it's beautiful if you're a fight fan. Absolutely beautiful. I want to go back. Hold on. Pitbull said he would put up $1 million that he could beat everybody.
Yeah, you got to. So you got to watch my interview with Patricio Pitbull and Captain Eric Albalacin. I just did it. It's going up on the site in a couple days, or maybe even tomorrow. Depends on how we do with the Fallout show. But I've got to finish editing it. And you what?
I have a beautiful idea.
What's
Henry
the beautiful idea?
wants a big money fight.
Oh, they're buddies though.
Pitbull.
Him and Pitbull are buddies. They have the same coach. This would be like brothers fighting each other.
I'm not friends enough with anybody to turn down $1 million, dude. If you put if my mom put $1 million down the line, I'm giving her, I'm beating her up. I mean, I'm sorry.
You're gonna beat up your mom for $1 million?
Damn straight. In record fashion. I mean, wouldn't even think about it.
I think your mom would take the fall if you split it.
You're probably right. You're probably right.
Man, I would tell you what, man. Jeff, Patricio Pitbull has put up $1 million. Now he wants to win this featherweight Grand Prix, and he's opening up as the headliner of the first Bellator show on Showtime April 2nd. And is it Jesse Emanuel? I'm trying to think of the guy's name who he's fighting. I don't know. I my brain right now. But Patricio Pitbull has flat out said, and I was there in August when Dana tried to keep a straight face and tell the media he didn't know who Patricio Pitbull is, like we believe that. But Patricio Pitbull has said he'll fight anyone at 45 or 55 and put $1 million up of his own money. And I asked him who he would like that to be, and of course, you know what his answer was: Conor McGregor. Everyone wants that money, and B, everyone wants that head.
Oh yeah. I mean, Conor's, poor Conor's put it's like he said, it's red panty night. Everybody who fights Conor makes a lot of money, and so it puts a humongous target on his head in like 3 different weight classes. It's crazy. I fully expect heavyweights to start calling out Conor. Why not? Look,
why not? Yeah.
Dana knows who Patricio is. He knows who Pitbull is, and for those that don't, he's the best fighter in the world not signed to the UFC. That's who he is.
No, and let's see. Izzy is a joke. Jones cleans him. Francis takes John's head off. Strange that Jones never fights. Why? Well, it's usually money. He thinks he's worth a lot more than Dana thinks he's worth, and they go back and forth on this all the time. And it just happens that way.
Yeah, it's the suspensions sprinkled through there is why we don't see John more active. But yeah, John's a weird cat, man. He'll hold out forever if he doesn't feel like he's getting what he's worth. John has been that way his whole career. Basically, I mean they had to cancel a pay-per-view event because John Jones says no, I'm not taking a fight on short notice. John Jones sticks to his guns, and he's going to about this money.
That was what, UFC 151, if I'm not mistaken.
I do not remember. It sounds about right.
That was a long time ago, man. So Pitbull in the $1 million bet. I want to go back to that for a second because you saw what Michael Chandler just did to Dan Hooker, who went 5 rounds all the way with Poirier, who people are saying is the uncrowned champion at 55. Well, Hooker looked really good against Poirier, went the distance with him. He beat Paul Felder, a very game Paul Felder before that, and he looked great. Hooker did. His last few fights, City Kickboxing with Izzy, with Volko, Gym of Champions, looked like he could possibly be the next one. And Michael Chandler came in and kicked his ass all over the octagon. He literally just mopped the floor with him. Patricio Pitbull in Michael Chandler's last Bellator fight knocked out Michael Chandler in 1 minute, 1 second. So Pitbull would love to obviously see Chandler become the UFC champ and then kind of say, hey, see, I told you, because he's got a couple more fights on his Bellator deal. And let me just clarify, Pitbull does not want to come to the UFC. He's trying to do what a lot of fighters have been trying to. Vitor even mentioned this today. Let's get Dana White to take the lead and have tournaments or at least fights where UFC fighters are fighting Bellator guys and UFC and even maybe PFL. You got Anthony Pettis and Rory McDonald in there now. But I don't think you're ever going to see that happen. But this isn't Pitbull saying I want to be in the UFC. This is Pitbull saying I'll beat any UFC fighter, telling Dana White I'll beat any of your guys at those weight classes, and I'll put up my own money, $1 million to do it.
Yeah, look, there's not going to be a cross promotion. That's it's too risky. It's too risky for the UFC fighters. It's too risky for Dana White, and it also builds Bellator's brand off the UFC's brand, and that's something the UFC's never going to do for any fight promotion, except for maybe Invicta and LFA and fight promotions that they actually have a working relationship with, and you can watch their events on Fight Pass. Bellator's not one of them. I like Pitbull, and I respect the hell out of Pitbull. He is the best fighter in the world, not in the UFC, and I don't even think that's debatable. And he has a good contract with Bellator. He's one of those fighters who probably wouldn't come to the UFC anyway. But I admire what he's doing. I admire what he's trying to do. But it's not gonna happen. It's not. He might be able to get PFL or ONE to do that, but he's not going to get the UFC to do that.
No, and Scott Coker's pretty smart too. I mean, Dana's a genius. Coker's a genius. I mean, they're both. Those two organizations are in good hands. The PFL's doing good things, man. The $1 million tournaments, and Bellator's got some big. They got the light heavyweight coming up, the Grand Prix, but that's 6 former UFC fighters in there. Ryan Bader, who's still the Bellator heavyweight champ, is in that tournament. He fights Machida, former UFC fighter. You got Corey Anderson. You got Phil Davis. You got who am I missing? I'm missing 2 of them: Yoel Romero and Rumble Johnson. Yoel Rumble's first round matchup. It would have been good a few years ago, but man, I still see Rumble, and I'm like, how is that? So Yoel's going up to 205. I don't know how Rumble's going to make 205, but that's interesting. I mean, I actually care about that tournament. I don't usually care a whole hell of a lot about Bellator fights. I hate to say it because I have friends who fight there, and I love Pitbull, and I want to see him in the UFC. I'm glad Chandler's finally in the UFC. Douglas Lima, although the wrestling could use some work there, admittedly, but I'm usually a snob when it comes to the fights, but that Bellator light heavyweight tournament actually is kind of cool to me.
Look, everybody likes tournaments. I mean, we talked about this last week that the lightweight division tournament, put it together. People would love it. And I like the way Bellator does the tournaments where it's not all in one night. But I do think that the public likes that more, but you'd never get to see the fighters at their best doing it in that way. Yeah, man. I mean, I come from a time where the UFC wasn't necessarily the biggest fight promotion, and so I kind of watch everything. I mean,
Wait, hold on,
Invicta,
Jeff.
I watch.
You hear that?
Yeah. Yes,
they're trying to play us off the stage here, man. You're like, this is the Academy Award speech that won't stop. Get off the stage. Yeah. Get off the stage.
Kicking us out
All right,
of the
real quick,
Apex, man. They're kicking us out.
We got Fallout tomorrow, 12 Pacific, 3 Eastern. Rosenstruik gone next week. Can't wait for that one. 3-7 in the heavyweight division, and then 2 weeks away from the 3 title fights. Jan and Sterling, Nunes Anderson, and then the one that everybody's talking about, Adesanya going up to try to take Blachowicz' title at 205. Jeff Kane, last thing from you tonight. Derrick Lewis with the emphatic finish of Curtis Razor Blaydes.
He stole all the storylines. Derrick Lewis did tonight. That's there was a ton of good fights, ton of great finishes, ton of opportunities cashed in on tonight. But the story is Derrick Lewis, and my God, does that man have power.
This has been our live coverage on MMA Weekly of UFC Fight Night, Blaydes versus Lewis. Lewis with an emphatic win. It's powered by CBD Emporium featuring Level Select CBD. CBD Emporium's the place to go. Level Select is the product to get. 3 levels for 3 levels of pain, anxiety. Forget it. You're going to sleep like a baby. The best CBD products on the planet, the purest, the highest concentrations, no THC whatsoever. And right now, because we love you, you're going to get 50% off of your purchase of CBD Emporium or Level Select CBD products. Just go to StayInTheFightMMA.com, StayInTheFightMMA.com, and enter the code MMA50 that you see on your screen right there. Don't forget the Vitor interview drops this week. Don't forget the Pitbull Captain America interview drops this week. And don't forget UFC Fallout tomorrow at 3 Eastern, 12 Pacific, right here on MMA Weekly. For all of us here, for Ken and Jeff and Hunter and all the writers who do such an amazing job, for Jake Hatton, who's got his recaps coming up after every pay-per-view, and for our great team on site, I'm Jim Greasehaber. Call me Grease, saying thank you for being with us tonight. MMA Weekly's live coverage of UFC Fight Night, powered by CBD Emporium featuring Level Select CBD. We'll talk to you tomorrow for Fallout. Keep your game tight and your mind right. Make it a great night.
Stay in the fight.